and blood was flowing. You're going too far. You want to eat up our family. Today, the three of us sisters will fight with you. At worst, we will die together. Ruan Xiaoxue suddenly rushed out, followed by Ruan Shuangjiang. They all carried A and stood beside Ruan Qiqi. Their eyes looked like they wanted to kill someone, which made everyone feel cold. It's over. The three sisters of the Ruan family are all crazy. Ruan Qiqi's mouth curled up slightly. She was very satisfied with the performance of Ruan Xiaoxue and Ruan Shuangjiang. They were not soft-hearted and could not be helped. That was good. She looked at the old man Ruan, who was scared and pale, and sneered. Old thing, don't mess with us sisters in the future. Don't think that you can bully us just because we are women. Don't forget that you men are born from our crotch. When we women are ruthless, we can kill all the men in Ruanjiawan. If you don't believe it, just try it. In the last sentence, Ruan Qiqi's voice was very cold, with a hint of murderous intent. All the men present shuddered involuntarily. They didn't doubt Ruan Qiqi's words at all, and believed that she could really do it. This crazy woman is so crazy that she is going to heaven. Ruanjiawan can't tolerate her. I'm your grandfather, you disobedient and unfilial thing. Old man Ruan's face was pale, but he still refused to admit defeat, emphasizing his status as an elder. I'm going to the commune to break off my relationship today. Ruan Qiqi was so angry that she raised her hand and slapped the old rascal more than 10 times. The people around were numb. It was more rebellious than before, but now they felt that Ruan Qiqi had shown mercy. At least she didn't use a knife to cut him. She was sensible enough. After the slap, Ruan Qiqi's hands were a little numb, and she was so angry that she kicked old man Ruan a few more times. Old rascal, get away from me. If you show up in front of me again, I will chop you to death. Ruan Qiqi had a look of disgust on her face, and she looked at old man Ruan like garbage. Old man Ruan's front was covered in blood, his skinny face was swollen, and he fell to the ground in embarrassment, looking at Ruan Qiqi angrily. He wanted to teach this little witch a lesson, but he had no strength and was not sure if he could beat this little witch. You will not die well, you will be punished. In the end, old man Ruan could only end up with a weak curse. Ruan Qiqi sneered and said sarcastically, Let's see who will get retribution first. Today I'm going to say this, the lives of our three sisters will definitely get better and better in the future, and your family will definitely be unlucky, and your family will be broken up. Old man Ruan felt a pain in his heart, and he spit out blood in anger and fainted. Uncle, this unlucky thing, carry him away, or I will burn him. Ruan Qiqi went into the house and took out a bottle of kerosene with a lighter in his hand. He unscrewed the lid and was about to pour the kerosene. Don't burn, ouch. Ancestors, please be more kind. The captain was about to cry. He now only hoped that Ruan Qiqi would go to work in the city as soon as possible, the farther the better, and never come back. He called on the others and hurriedly carried old man Ruan away. The other elders who were called by old man Ruan also had to go back to their homes. Ruan Qiqi's creepy voice came from behind. Whoever helps Ruan Guiming's family and comes to my house to make trouble in the future, don't blame me for burning your whole family. She raised a large bottle of kerosene in her hand and pressed the lighter with her other hand. The blue flames swayed in the wind. Ruan Qiqi's beautiful face was calm, and she was smiling slightly, but it made everyone's legs weak. They believed that this crazy woman could really do it. This crazy woman was, and they had a family to support, with old people and children, so they couldn't afford to offend her. Never mind again. You should solve your family affairs by yourselves. Everyone rushed to express their stance, fearing that if they spoke a word slowly, they would be misunderstood by Ruan Qiqi and get into trouble. I hope you can do what you say, let's go. Ruan Qiqi waved her hand, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief and fled faster than dogs. The Ruan family's doorstep was instantly quiet. Second sister, you are so awesome. Ruan Xiaoxue gave a thumbs up, her eyes sparkling. She admired her second sister the most now. Wan Shuangjiang smiled slightly and went to get water to wash the blood at the door. Just remember, the arrogant are afraid of the desperate. If anyone comes to bully you again, fight them to the death. Even if you die, you have to kill a few of them to get your money's worth. Wan Qiqi taught her method of going crazy. They had been bullied to the point of being bullied. Instead of living a hard life, they might as well fight hard. 99% of people in this world are afraid of death. Therefore, as long as you fight hard, you can defeat 99% of people and you will win. As for the remaining 1%, either they are powerful or noble, or they are crazy husbands and wives. It depends on who has the toughest life. Remember, Wan Xiaoxue nodded vigorously. She will also go crazy in the future and hurt everyone. Wan Shuangjiang looked thoughtful, and she remembered it in her heart. For a year-old Wan Yan stood beside her and remembered her second dance words. 2-year-old Wan Pan was still young and didn't understand what she heard. Wan Shuangjiang had already cooked breakfast. She heated up the chicken soup left over from last night, fried some vegetables and bacon, and cooked a pot of dry rice. Wan Yan and her sister ate with relish. They had never eaten such good food before, and it was their first time to eat chicken soup. The chickens in the Li family were raised by the sisters, but they were not even qualified to eat eggs, let alone chicken soup. After dinner, let's go to the commune together and break off the relationship with Wan Guiming's family. Wan Qiqi picked up a chicken claw and ate it. She was serious about breaking off the relationship just now. Second sister, are you really breaking off the relationship? Wan Xiaoxue asked. Yeah. Wan Qiqi nodded, without giving the reason for breaking off the relationship. Wan Shuangjiang and Wan Xiaoxue didn't ask either, because they listened to their second younger sister, anyway. After dinner, the 3 sisters set off with their 2 children. Ruanjiawan was about 17 or 18 miles away from the commune. Wan Xiaoxue rode a bike with the 2 children and went first, while Wan Qiqi and Wan Shuangjiang walked. But they were lucky. They ran into the tractor from yesterday just after they arrived at the village entrance. The driver stopped the car and asked with a smile, "Sisters, are you going to the commune?" "Yes, brother. Give me a ride." Wan Qiqi smiled and took out half a pack of cigarettes, which were also from Shi Xiaojun and his friends. These playboys all smoked good cigarettes. "Get in the car." The driver agreed readily. Wan Qiqi pulled Wan Shuangjiang onto the tractor, which started to rumble and soon caught up with Wan Xiaoxue and the others, pulling both the people and the tractor. They arrived at the commune before 8:30. "Sister, I'll be back at 10:30. You just wait at the intersection." The driver took the initiative to inform the return time and drove away. "Thank you, brother." Wan Qiqi waved her hand and rubbed her ace again. Although the tractor didn't her legs, it crippled her ace, which was numb from the bumps. The divorce department was in the commune building. Li Haoyang hadn't arrived yet, so Wan Qiqi went to get the documents to sever the relationship. Leader, Wan Guiming's family is lazy and backward in thinking. They can't even recite the quotations from the classics. They are mice that are harmful to the people. The chairman once said that there are only cats and cats making friends in the world, not cats and mice making friends. Similarly, there are no cats and mice making relatives. Leader, we sisters want to sever the relationship with Wan Guiming's family. Wan Qiqi brought up the quotations again. When dealing with staff, the quotations are the best communication tool. Sure enough, the staff, who had a stern face, immediately softened after hearing Wan Qiqi's words and looked at her with appreciation. This female comrade has a high level of ideological awareness. Wan Guiming's family refuses to recite the quotations? The staff frowned and spoke in a serious tone. Yes, they don't recite them from old to young, and they say that reciting the quotations is a waste of time. We sisters argued with them, and they scolded us. Leaders, we don't want to be relatives with such low, conscious people. Please support us in breaking off the relationship. Wan Qiqi's tone was particularly sincere, and she recited a large section of the quotations on the spot, with hundreds of words. She didn't even pause and recited it all in one breath. The eyes of the office staff changed from shock to appreciation, and their attitude towards them became much more polite. Your sister has memorized the quotations well and has a high level of awareness. The staff praised. I recite it every day. I recite it while I eat and sleep. I must keep the chairman's teachings in mind every day, study hard, make progress every day, and contribute to the construction of socialism. Ruan Chichi took out the quotations from the collection from her pocket, straightened her chest, and spoke loudly, like giving a speech. The quotations from the collection in her hand were all frayed. Obviously, she had read them often, and everyone looked at her with more appreciation. What a good comrade. The severance of the relationship went very smoothly, and the staff quickly stamped the official seal and officially severed ties with Ruan Guiming's family. Even if Ruan Guiming became a landlord's son in the future, he would not be able to implicate them. It was 8:30, and Li Haoyang was carried here on a door panel. He had soaked in the river for a long time last night and went back in the cold wind. He had a high fever in the middle of the night and could not get out of bed. But the third uncle said that even if they had to carry him on a door panel, they had to be carried to the commune to divorce. Old man Li had to find a few strong guys to take turns carrying him. Li Haoyang was lying on the door panel. His face was whiter than a corpse, and his mind was not very clear. Old man Li also following. His face was gloomy, and he brought 200 yuan. He wanted to try to persuade Ruan Shuangjiang to change her mind, but Ruan Chichi did not give him a chance and took people to get a divorce. The official seal was knocked down, and Ruan Shuangjiang felt relieved instantly. The shackles that had trapped her for 5 years were finally gone. No matter how hard or tired she was in the future, she would work hard to raise her 2 daughters and would not let them suffer any grievances. Ruan Chichi dragged Old Man Li to transfer the household registration of the 2 children. The team leader said that she had already said that as long as the Ruan Nian sisters changed their surnames to Ruan, they could settle in Ruanjia Bay and be registered under Ruan Chichi's name. Now the owner of the Ruan family's house is Ruan Chichi, and she is also the head of the household. All the procedures were completed. Old Man Li looked ashen and instantly aged a dozen years. The family savings were gone. His daughter-in-law and granddaughter ran away, and he also offended the bandit Lao Wu. How would he live in the future? Nian Di, Pan Di, come home often in the future. Old Man Li still wanted to get close to his 2 granddaughters. Grandpa, my name is Ruan Nian, and my sister is Ruan Pan. Don't call us by our old names anymore. It doesn't sound nice at all. Ruan Nian corrected in a cold voice. Although she was only 4 years old, she already understood a lot of things and was much more mature than other children of the same age. She knew that no one in the family liked her and her sister. Only her mother loved them sincerely. Grandpa must have had bad intentions when he asked her and her sister to go home. Old Man Li's face became even uglier. It was the first time he looked at his granddaughter squarely. He had never looked at his 2 granddaughters straight in the eyes before at home. Only today did he realize that both granddaughters were very beautiful and looked like Ruan Shuangjiang. Ruan Shuangjiang was also very beautiful before she got married. Old Man Li felt regretful. With the looks of his 2 granddaughters, they would definitely receive high betrothal gifts when they grow up. What a loss. Nian Nian, Pan Pan, go home. Ruan Chichi called out, and the 2 sisters turned around and ran away, not paying any attention to Old Man Li, nor even looking at Li Haoyang, who was half dead on the door. Old Man Li sighed and left with a depressed look. Li Haoyang was still carried back. Take these tickets, buy whatever you want. Ruan Chichi took out 200 yuan and a stack of food coupons and stuffed them into Ruan Shuangjiang, and Ruan Xiaoxue also gave some money. The 200 yuan was compensated by Old Man Li. It's too much. How can I spend so much? Chichi, keep it yourself. Ruan Shuangjiang did not take it. The 200 yuan was fought for by Ruan Chichi, and she should not have taken it.
Take it.
Ruan Chichi stuffed it into her hand, and then took the 2 children to the nearby state-owned restaurant. There was a bun stall at the door, steaming hot. Give me 5 meat buns and 5 sugar buns. The waiter wrapped 10 buns in newspaper and handed them over. Ruan Chichi paid the money and the food coupons and meat coupons, and let the 2 children take the buns themselves. Second aunt, 1 is enough for my sister and I, Ruan Yen said in a low voice. She and her sister had eaten a lot of delicious food in the past 2 days. She was already very satisfied. They couldn't eat like this every day, otherwise the second aunt's house would be eaten up by them. Wan Chi pinched her skinny face gently, only pinching a little skin. The child was too thin, just skin and bones. She liked chubby children, which felt good when pinched, so she wanted to raise these 2 children to be fat. One for each of you. Second aunt has plenty of money. Eat it. Wan Chi looked at them with a smile. She was still very patient with the sensible little kids. Second aunt, you really won't go broke from eating? Wan Yan was still a little worried. She and her sister were big eaters. You won't go broke from eating 10. Eat it with confidence. Wan Chi was overjoyed. This girl was so young, but she was too worried. Wan Yan was relieved and grinned. She took a candy bag to eat and gave her sister a meat bun. She took a bite and honey like syrup flowed out and dripped on the ground. She quickly stuck out her tongue to catch it, so as not to waste it. Wan Chi handed the 2 children to Wan Shuangjiang and went shopping by herself. There are 2 streets in the town. They are not big, but they have everything they need. There are also many things in the supply and marketing cooperative, but none of them are what Wan Chi wants to buy. She has everything in her space. In less than half an hour, she had walked around the 2 streets, and there were more things in her backpack. A few pieces of cloth, meat, rice, tea oil, etc., and some snacks filled a full basket, which was heavy on her shoulders. It was almost 10:30, and Wan Chi walked towards the intersection. Wan Shuangjiang and the others had already arrived. Chi, your favorite cupcake. Wan Shuangjiang bought ingot-shaped cakes, which were the cupcakes that her original body loved to eat. Wan Chi also liked to eat them. She took a piece and ate it. It tasted very good. Cupcakes are delicious. A tractor rumbled over. The driver came back with a truckload of distiller's grains. There was a winery in the town, and there was distiller's grains every day, which were distributed to several surrounding villages in turn. Brother, have some cupcakes. Wan Chi generously handed over a piece of cake. The driver didn't hesitate and took a piece to eat. On the way back, Wan Chi chatted with him. The driver was from the same village as Song Junjie, and his surname was also Song. He was also Song Junjie's cousin, named Song Hongli, who was a technical talent in the village and was mainly good at driving tractors. Brother Song, Junjie is my sister's boyfriend. Wan Chi pointed at Wan Xiaoxue. Wan Xiaoxue blushed and was embarrassed to talk to him. So, he's Hongmei's boyfriend. We're one of them. The driver was also very enthusiastic, and his tone was intimate. After arriving at Ruanjiawan, he enthusiastically drove into the village and helped them carry the things to the door before leaving. Many villagers saw it and inquired about the driver's identity. Xiaoshua's boyfriend's cousin was very polite and insisted on sending us back. Wan Shuangjiang said with a smile. The villagers were envious and jealous again. The 2 crazy women in the Wan family had found partners who were outstanding. God was really blind. After returning home, Wan Chi took out a large piece of pork belly from the backpack and handed it to Wan Shuangjiang. Sister, I want to eat snowflake meatballs and steamed chicken with millet cake. Wan Shuangjiang is a good cook, and the dishes she makes are delicious. She is greedy. Okay, I'll do it right away. Wan Shuangjiang smiled gently. The family had some millet cakes made before the new year, and the egret chicken from Wan Guiming's house had not been eaten yet. It was a good time to make steamed chicken with millet cakes. The second sister has loved it since she was a child. Wan Shuangjiang went to the kitchen to busy herself, and Wan Xiaoxue also went to help. Wan Chi went to the fire pit to roast a fire and roast some glutinous rice cakes. She took out 5 glutinous rice cakes from the jar, put them on the fire with tongs, and arranged the 5 glutinous rice cakes in order, turning them over from time to time. After roasting for a while, a big bubble bulged on the surface of the glutinous rice cake, like blowing bubble gum, getting bigger and bigger. With a pop sound, the bubble firecracker exploded, and snow-white glutinous rice-like paste flowed out, and the air was filled with rich rice fragrance. Roasted glutinous rice cake is super delicious. There are many ways to eat glutinous rice cake: fried, deep-fried, baked, boiled, and steamed, but Wan Chi likes to eat roasted ones the most, especially those roasted golden on both sides. They make a crackling sound when bitten, but the middle is soft, sticky, and sweet, and tastes amazing. Nian Nian Pan Pan, eat glutinous rice cake. Wan Chi waved to the two children and quickly took two baked glutinous rice cakes from the tongs. However, they were too hot, and she didn't hold them firmly. The glutinous rice cakes fell to the ground, and her fingertips were almost scalded. She put her hands on her earlobes to cool them down. She had been using this method since she was a child, and it was quite effective. "And eat it." Wan Yen picked up the glutinous rice cake from the ground, puffed up her cheeks to off the dust on the surface, and handed it to Wan Chi with both hands. "Give it to your mother and aunt. There are more." Wan Chi continued to turn over the remaining 3 glutinous rice cakes. There were not many glutinous rice cakes in the jar, so she turned back and asked a few strong laborers to make more. Although Wan Yen was only 4 years old, she was very steady. She carried 2 glutinous rice cakes and trotted to the kitchen, then ran back and squatted by the fire to watch Wan Chi turn them over. The 2-year-old Wan Pan also squatted, staring at the glutinous rice cakes with his big eyes without blinking, and kept swallowing his saliva. "Eat it." The 3 glutinous rice cakes were all baked. Wan Chi first gave them to the children and ate them herself. The baked glutinous rice cakes were fragrant and soft. Apart from causing internal heat and indigestion, there were no other problems. After eating a baked glutinous rice cake, Wan Chi was still not satisfied and wanted to bake a few more to eat, but she also wanted to save her stomach for snowflake meatballs and steamed chicken with rice cakes. These 2 dishes were famous dishes from her original hometown. She had eaten them in her previous life, and they tasted really good. The meat and chicken now are more authentic, and the dishes made will taste better. Wan Chi couldn't help swallowing her saliva and ran to the kitchen to see. Wan Xiaoxua was chopping the meat filling, and the snowflake meatballs were actually it is a meatball wrapped with a layer of glutinous rice. After steaming, the glutinous rice is crystal clear, and the meatballs are fresh and delicious. It is not only beautiful, but also delicious. This dish will be served at banquets. Snowflake meatballs. Wan Shuangjiang is making millet cakes. There is millet from last year at home. She just ground it into powder. The millet powder has a very coarse taste. There is a local saying that goes like this: you don't know the flat land without walking on the mountains, and you don't know the coarseness without eating millet cakes. It means that millet tastes particularly coarse. Therefore, local people will mix glutinous rice flour into it to neutralize the coarseness of millet powder and make millet cakes to eat. Millet, I don't know what its scientific name is. Are you hungry? Wan Shuangjiang turned around and asked with a smile. Fortunately, I just ate a glutinous rice cake. Wan Chi touched her stomach. She was not hungry, but her teeth were a little itchy, and she wanted to chew something. "Second sister, there are sweet potato scrapers in the cabinet in my room," Wan Xiaoxua said with a smile. Wan Chi eyes lit up, and she ran to look through the cabinets. She soon found a bag of scraping slices, about 1 pound, which Wan Xiaoxua had dried. She took a slice and ran to the fire to roast it. The scraping slices were especially sweet after being roasted soft, and they didn't hurt her teeth. Wan Chi didn't eat them alone. She gave half to her niece and ate the other half herself. After eating the scraping slices, she still felt itchy and sat in a chair in a daze thinking about Lu Yi. She had a dream again last night. She tore Lu Ye's clothes to pieces and did a lot of things that were not suitable for children. She suspected that she had been restrained for too long in the mental hospital in her previous life and had abstained from desire for 10 years. It was her hard work that she didn't get sick. Now she finally met a handsome and pleasing man, and it was normal for her to be dissatisfied. She had to speed up. After solving the problem in Ranjiawan, she would go to the city to find Lu Yi to marry. Wan Chi yawned and remembered something. Why hasn't the military document been sent yet? She has been back for several days, and the efficiency of the post office is too slow. She thought about it, got up and walked out. Let's go out and play. Wan Chi went to grab the 2 children. The little ones must play happily. It's definitely not good to stay at home all day. Wan Yen shook her head. She went to find a backpack and put it on her back skillfully. She also found a sickle and said like a little adult, "Second aunt, I'm going to the mountain to pick pig grass and pick up a bundle of firewood." She and her sister ate so much, so they had to work harder, otherwise the family would be ruined by them. "Sister, I'm going too," Wan Pan said in a baby voice. She was her sister's little follower, following her from morning to night. Wan Chi blinked, feeling inexplicably ashamed. Even the children were so diligent, and she, as an aunt, seemed to lack diligence. But it was impossible for her to change. If she had to endure hardships all her life, it would be absolutely impossible for her to work. "Second aunt will teach you a trick today, come on." Wan Chi took the two children out and soon met some children playing. She took out a handful of fruit candies from her pocket. The children were so greedy that they couldn't help swallowing their saliva and stared at the candies in her hand. There is no firewood at home, and the pigs have nothing to eat. As soon as Wan Chi finished speaking, a clever child took the initiative to say, "Sister Chi, I'll go get firewood and grass for you. Be good." Wan Chi smiled in praise and stuffed 3 fruit candies into the boy's hands. "I'll do it right away." The boy ran away happily. 3 candies. Sister Chi was so generous. The other children followed suit and said actively that they would also collect firewood and pig grass. Wan Chi also gave each of them 3 candies and warned them, "Don't cut corners, otherwise there will be no candies next time." "No, don't worry, Sister Chi," the children said in unison and ran away like a gust of wind. 3 candies in exchange for a bundle of firewood and a basket of pig grass was such a good deal. They were not fools. They knew how to have a full meal every day. Wan Chi lowered her head and said to the dumbfounded Wan Yen, "You'll be responsible for checking the quality of firewood and pig grass to see if they have cut corners."
"Got it."
Wan Yen nodded. She hesitated for a few seconds and mustered up the courage to say, "Second aunt, 3 candies are too many. 1 is enough." She felt that second aunt was losing money, and it was not cost-effective. Wan Chi smiled and touched her head. "Wait until second aunt goes to the city. You can set the rules in the future. Now second aunt will only give 3 candies. After all, she is an adult, so she won't argue with a child about 1 or 2 candies." Wan Yen's eyes lit up and she nodded vigorously. Wan Chi didn't preach to her. No matter how much she said, it would be better to show her. The little girl was very smart and would definitely learn it. The roadside was full of wild roses with fat stems. Wan Chi broke off a tender stem, peeled off the skin, revealing the tender and juicy meat. It was a snack for rural children. Wan Chi also loved to eat it when she was a child. She took a bite and it was a little sweet and tasted good. The tip of the wild rose stem is called prickly moss. Wan Chi chewed the prickly moss and walked slowly towards the entrance of the village. There were many villagers working in the farmland beside the road. When they saw Wan Chi, they took the initiative to greet her and were very polite. He Jianjun's parents were also there. They looked angry, but they were uneasy in their hearts. They went to the commune to make a phone call yesterday, but they couldn't find their son. They wasted a few dimes and were heartbroken. They were even more worried that their son was really expelled from the army. They were in a state of anxiety and planned to go to Tanzhou City to find their son and ask him face to face. "Captain Wan, there is a letter." A green figure appeared at the entrance of the village. It was the postman who delivered letters once a week. The captain walked out of the field, ran over barefoot, took the letter, and saw the words of Tanzhou Military Region on the envelope. His heart skipped a beat, and he couldn't help but think of what Wan Chi said. Could He Jianjun have really been expelled from the army? He excitedly opened the envelope, revealing a red-headed document. The captain was so excited that he quickly took out the document. "Captain, whose letter is it? It looks like a red-headed document. Is there any new policy from above?" Captain read it quickly. The villagers asked in unison, urging the captain to read the letter quickly. He Jianjun's parents all skipped a beat in their hearts and had a bad premonition. Holding a glimmer of hope, they asked the captain, "Is it from the army?" "Yes." The captain looked at them sympathetically. He Jianjun's parents felt very sad, and their eyes went dark. The document sent by the army said that He Jianjun had poor performance in the army and was expelled. The captain saved some face for He Jianjun's parents and did not tell them about He Jianjun's robbing someone, nor did he say that He Jianjun would go to jail. Impossible. Jianjun's girlfriend is the leader's granddaughter. How could he be expelled? There must be a mistake. His mother was a little confused. She didn't want to believe it. He Jianjun was the hope of the whole family. She was still counting on her youngest son to go to the city and enjoy a good life. Wan Qiqi stood at the edge of the field, chewing a dogtail grass stem in his mouth, watching with a smile, and shouted, "Second uncle, why didn't you say that He Jianjun had the credit for robbing someone and would be tried by a military court and sentenced to at least 3 years in prison?" The captain's face changed, and he smiled embarrassedly. "I'm old, and my eyes are not very useful. I didn't see it. Uncle, you're taking a folk remedy." Third uncle used this folk remedy to give birth to a big fat son at the age of 70. "You are only 50, a good age to have a baby. Remember to take supplements." Wan Qiqi was in a good mood. Seeing He Jianjun's parents pale and sweating, she felt even better. The men working in the fields were distracted. What folk remedy did third uncle take? They wanted to eat it too. "I didn't eat it, Qiqi, don't talk nonsense." The captain denied it. He didn't want anyone to know that he drank his own. Wan Qiqi didn't argue with him. She walked over, took the document, and read it aloud. The content of the document was very simple, and she finished reading it quickly. Pahi's mother fell into the field, her face pale. His father was also dying and couldn't even stand steadily. Wan Qiqi sneered. 2 years ago, his mother fell seriously ill. She relied on the 300 yuan betrothal gift given by Ruan's father to save her life, but she repaid kindness with hatred. She had to take this life back. Second uncle, Shurmei, crushed a lot of seedlings and destroyed collective property. Her ideological awareness is too low. Arrest her and educate her. Wan Qiqi shouted fearlessly. Shurmei was his mother's name. No wonder they raised a son who is good at robbing people. This family has problems with their thinking. He Jianjun has been sent to prison. Our Ruanjiawan has lost its reputation. This family is really unlucky. Several villagers did not get along with the He family. They used to be afraid that He Jianjun was in the army and did not dare to break up with the He family. Now they are unscrupulously mocking and sneer at him. His father was so angry that his body was shaking, and he looked like he was about to faint. The captain pressed his temple hard. He had a headache. When would this crazy woman Wan Qiqi go to the city? If he didn't get out, he would be a short-lived ghost. He asked someone to carry his mother back home. His father followed behind in a daze. He Jianjun's elder brother and sister-in-law were also in a daze. They still couldn't believe that their youngest son, younger brother, was fired. But the documents sent by the army were written in black and white and stamped with the official seal. They had no choice but to believe it. Jianjun, you are confused. When they were about to reach the door of the house, his father suddenly screamed and fainted. 2 people from the He family died at once. He Jianjun's elder brother and sister-in-law were busy all over. He Jianjun's sister, who had married, also came back. The whole family was in a gloomy mood, with sad faces, as if someone had died. But they didn't know that this was just the beginning of the disaster, and the good days were still to come. The news of He Jianjun's dismissal soon spread throughout Ruanjiawan. The villagers' reaction was mostly gloating. Who made He Jianjun's parents so proud? They deserved it. Wan Qiqi went home. Wan Yan was counting firewood and pig grass at the door. Several children were very honest. The firewood was a big bundle and the pig grass was a full basket. Not bad. Will you work tomorrow? Wan Qiqi was very satisfied and prepared to continue hiring child labor. Let's do it. The children said in unison. Sister Qiqi, I'll give it to you. The smartest boy took out a string of March bubbles strung together with grass stems from his backpack. It was as red as agate, and Wan Qiqi drooled at the sight. I'll trade you some candy. Wan Qiqi didn't take advantage of the kid. She traded him a piece of candy. The boy was so happy, the other kids were so jealous. They were all planning to pick more March bubbles tomorrow and trade them for candy with Sister Chi-Chi. It's time to eat. Wan Shuangjiang came out to call people. Here she comes. Wan Chi-Chi rushed into the yard happily, snowflake meatballs and steamed chicken with millet cakes. She's here. There were a lot of dishes on the table. The largest one was steamed chicken with millet cakes, and there was another plate of snowflake meatballs, both of which were not spicy. Wan Shuangjiang also fried some spicy dried fish, and a plate of green vegetables. Steamed chicken with millet cakes. Wan Chi-Chi went to wash her hands, couldn't wait to pick up a snowflake meatball, took a bite. The gravy splashed in her mouth. It was so delicious. Delicious. The meatballs were a little hot. Wan Chi-Chi was busy blowing air while chewing. Wan Shuangjiang smiled gently, picking up dishes for her, Wan Xiaoxue and her 2 daughters. Big sister, you eat too. Wan Xiaoxue picked up the chicken head for her. Wan Shuangjiang loved eating chicken heads the most. When she was a child, she would eat chicken heads every time her family killed chickens. She said that this was the most delicious. Okay. Wan Shuangjiang smiled and picked up the chicken head to chew on. Wan Chi-Chi finished eating 2 snowflake meatballs and picked up a millet cake into the bowl. The cake was soaked with chicken oil and gravy and had the unique fragrance of millet. It tasted better than chicken. Seeing that Wan Shuangjiang only ate the chicken head, she frowned and picked up a chicken leg and handed it to her. You eat it. I don't like chicken legs. I just like chicken heads. Wan Shuangjiang wanted to take it back. Chicken heads are just bones. How delicious can they be? There's such a big pot of chicken. It's enough to eat. Wan Chi-Chi doesn't like this kind of self-sacrificing virtue. What Mom loves to eat fish heads the most. Mom loves to eat chicken heads the most. This is all poisonous chicken soup to brainwash women. Why is there no propaganda that Dad loves to eat fish heads the most? Brainwashed by this poisonous chicken soup since childhood, women have been CPU'd into Wan Shuangjiang. She can't control other women, but she has to control the women in her family. Women have to bear all the hardships and tiredness, and they don't get any benefits.
Why?
Wan Shuangjiang was still hesitating, and Wan Chi-Chi said impatiently, There will be no shortage of meat at home in the future, so you don't need to save those few bites of meat. Eat it quickly.
Hey.
Wan Shuangjiang's eyes were a little red, and he nodded slightly and ate the chicken legs. Wan Xiaoxue blamed herself very much. She was too selfish. She didn't think that her eldest sister didn't like to eat chicken heads, but was afraid that they wouldn't have enough to eat, so she only ate chicken heads. If it weren't for her second sister's cleverness, she might never know it in her life. Big sister, you eat this too. Wan Xiaoxue took the other chicken leg. Big sister suffered the most, so she should eat it. Wan Shuangjiang couldn't refuse, so she had to eat 2 chicken legs with tears in her eyes. After living for 24 years, this was the first time she ate chicken legs. They were so delicious. Wan Chi-Chi ate 3 millet cakes, 5 snowflake meatballs, and a bowl of rice soaked in chicken soup. She was very full. Big sister, when I leave, can you make these 2 dishes again? Wan Chi-Chi wanted to bring them to Lu Yi. Okay. Wan Shuangjiang agreed with a smile. She ate well and slept well these 2 days, and she didn't have to be scolded or beaten. Her spirits were much better, and she vaguely had some of the style of a girl. Wan Chi-Chi took out cloth from the backpack, as well as 2 pairs of leather shoes and a few packs of snacks, and gave them all to Wan Shuangjiang. The fabric is for you to make clothes, and the shoes are in your and Xiaoxue sizes. Here are a few old clothes that my girlfriend's relatives don't want. You can paint the uppers of them. Wan Chi-Chi took out a few more old clothes from Shi Jinghong's house. They were all good materials and had never been patched. Wan Shuangjiang touched the material and said happily, It's a pity to paint the uppers of such good clothes. If you modify them, Xiaoxue and I can wear them. Wan Chi-Chi had no objection, because she didn't wear them anyway. It was getting dark, and Wan Chi-Chi went out. She went to Bailey Village to get the gold bars, and she had to talk to Bai Sanyuan about something. When she arrived at Bailey Village, it was completely dark, and the moon tonight was covered by dark clouds. It was almost pitch dark in the village. Wan Chichi went to the old camphor tree at the entrance of the village to chat for a while and learn something new. Li Haoyang's family was beaten up. Li Haoyang's mother was almost beaten to death. Now she is lying in bed and can't get up. Who beat them up? Third uncle called people. Old Five was the most ruthless. Old Five is very vicious and has killed several people. When talking about the fifth uncle, the old camphor tree's tone was not very good. Every time the fifth uncle passed by the tree, it could feel the evil spirit on this man, which made it very uncomfortable. Wan Chichi was happy. Her trick of diverting troubles was really powerful. With the fifth uncle, this poisonous snake, Li Haoyang's family will have a hard time. She said goodbye to the old camphor tree and walked towards the mortuary in the village. The mortuary is a morgue. When someone dies in the village, it has to stay for 3 days. There is a special house in the village for storing corpses. The morgue is in a remote part of the village, and there are no people living around, which is just convenient for Wan Chichi to dig gold bars. The old camphor tree only gave an approximate location. Wan Chichi dug 3 places, and none of them were right, so she changed the place to dig. When they hit a hard object, Wan Chichi was overjoyed. She carefully dug the soil beside it, revealing a rusty iron box. The lock was also rusted, and it was easy to open. But there was no expected golden light. Wan Chichi took a flashlight to look at it. It turned out to be an old-fashioned radio transmitter. It was rusted and useless. This means that this radio transmitter has been buried underground for at least 10 years. Is there a spy in Bailey Village? Wan Chichi planned to ask the old camphor tree later. She continued to look for gold bars in the mortuary and finally dug up a pottery jar with 10 gold bars and 100 yuan data coins. After filling the holes she dug, Wan Chichi left the mortuary and walked towards Bai Sanyuan's house. Bai Sanyuan's family originally lived in a 3-story blue brick tile house. When they ate the big pot meal, they contributed it to the team as a canteen, and later they never returned it to him. Their family now lives in 3 small houses, which were the Bai family's former firewood room. The Bai family had not yet gone to bed. Dim lights were coming through the windows. Wan Chichi knocked on the door a few times. Who? A young man walked to the door and asked, Sister Wan Xiaoxue, something's up. The door opened, and a girl who looked a bit like Wan Xiaoxue came out and asked anxiously, Did Xiaoxue get into trouble? No, I have something important to tell your father. Wan Chichi glanced at her a few times. The more she looked, the more certain she was that Father Wan was 100% the son of the landlord Bai. Wan Xiaoxue was the most like Father Wan among the 3 sisters, and Bai Huanxi and Wan Xiaoxue looked somewhat alike, so they must be related by blood.
Come in.
The young man is of medium height, with handsome features. He doesn't look like his sister, but probably looks more like his mother. I heard that Bai Sunyuan's wife was a beauty in the village back then. He's my brother, Bai Fengshou. Bai Huanxi introduced. Wan Chichi's mouth twitched. Bai Huanxi, Bai Fengshou, the Bai family is good at naming. Who's here? Bai Sanyuan came out and was stunned when he saw Wan Chichi. His expression became alert. Sit down. Don't be restrained. I have something important to tell you. Wan Chichi sat down as if she was at home and asked Bai Sanyuan to sit down as well. Bai Sanyuan sat down cautiously, daring to sit on only half of his ace, and asked in a low voice, Mr. Wan, what's the matter? You are Zhu Sanmei's son, you know? Wan Chichi asked straight to the point. Zhu Sanmei is the original grandmother. Bai Sanyuan's face changed slightly, and he became more and more uneasy, not knowing Wan Chichi's purpose. Bai Fengshou looked calm, but Bai Huanxi was stunned. Obviously, his brother also knew about it. Don't be nervous. I'm here to make a deal with you. Here are 200 yuan and 100 kilograms of national food coupons. Wan Chichi took out 20 big Unity coupons and 100 kilograms of national food coupons and looked at the patched clothes on Bai Huanxi's body, reached into the backpack, and took out a piece of cloth. The Bai family was stunned. They wanted to take so many things for a deal. Could it be that they wanted their lives? The lives of their landlord's sons were not so valuable. Don't worry, if I don't want our lives, I will just prove someone. Wan Guiming knows him, right? You just need to report that Wan Guiming is the son of the landlord Bai, and these things are yours. Wan Qiqi moved all the money, food coupons, and cloth in front of Bai Sanyuan. Miss Wan, you are wrong. My mother is Xia Taoji. I don't understand what you are saying. You can take these things back. Bai Sanyuan refused and moved the things in front of Wan Qiqi again. Your father used 6 acres of fields to mortgage Zhu Sanmei to give birth to a son. The son born is you. After that, Zhu Sanmei and your father had an affair and fooled around for several years and gave birth to Wan Guiming. Your father knows about this son. You and Wan Guiming have no feelings for each other, so why keep a secret for him? Wan Qiqi moved the things over again, admiring Bai Sanyuan's struggle. The Bai family is now penniless, and they definitely need this money. Who told you that? Bai Fengshou asked. Don't worry, at present, only I and Zhu Sanmei and her husband know about it. Wan Guiming doesn't know his life experience. Wan Qiqi looked at him and immediately changed her mind. She would not make a deal with Bai Sanyuan. This man was too indecisive and boring. Or his son Bai Fengshou is more interesting, and will definitely agree. Fengshou. Bai Sanyuan looked at his son, with a little more pleading in his eyes. Dad, no one recognizes you. Bai Fengshou frowned, feeling very disappointed with his father. Cough, cough. A low, hoarse cough came from the room, and it sounded like an old lady. Grandma needs money to replenish her body. Dad, I'm sorry. Bai Fengshou made up his mind. Even if Wan Guiming was his biological uncle, he had no feelings for him. He was brought up by his grandmother Xia Taoji, and now he just wanted to earn this money to buy nutritional supplements for his grandmother. Is your grandma sick? Wan Qiqi asked with concern. The old camphor tree said that the landlord Bai's cousin was a very good person. Although Bai Sanyuan was not her biological son, she treated him as her own and was very good to her grandchildren. Malnutrition leads to poor resistance. Bai Fengshou looked angry and sad. He was strong, but he couldn't earn enough money to buy nutritional supplements for his grandmother. It wasn't that he didn't want to work hard, but that no one was willing to hire him to work. With the label of a landlord's son, he lived a life worse than a dog. So, why could Wan Guiming live so comfortably? Bai Fengshou didn't deny that he had bad intentions. They were all sons born by their grandfather, so why was it only his family that suffered? Add another can of malted milk. Wan Qiqi took out another can of malted milk from the backpack, which Lu Hongba took from the ward. Deal. What do you want me to do? Bai Fengshou agreed readily. He had always wanted to buy malted milk for his grandmother, but he couldn't afford it. Tomorrow you go to the commune's tail-cutting meeting and report it, saying that Wan Guiming is your real uncle and also a landlord's son. Wan Qiqi whistled secretly. Her cheap cousin was courageous. No wonder he was able to become big and strong and a rich man in his previous life. Wan Guiming will definitely not admit it. Bai Fengshou felt that she was thinking too simply. If she could just say something to make someone look like a landlord's son, he would have taken revenge on those who bullied his family in this way. Wan Qiqi smiled smugly. Words are of course not enough. Wan Guiming has a crescent birthmark on his ace, exactly the same as your grandfather's. Bai Sanyuan's face changed drastically, his expression was painful, and his heart was extremely conflicted. He wanted the money to buy nutritional supplements for his mother, but he couldn't bear to harm his own brother. Although this brother had never recognized him, he was a brother with the same blood as him, and he really couldn't bear to do it. Fengshou, he is your uncle after all, don't. Before Bai Sanyuan finished speaking, he was interrupted by Wan Qiqi, who asked curiously, Do you really believe what I said? No wonder Bai Sanyuan had been unwilling to agree. It turned out that he regarded Wan Guiming as his own brother. He wouldn't be fooled by her, right? Bai Sanyuan blinked and asked in a low voice, What you just said was not true. Yes, Wan Guiming and I are mortal enemies. I just found something for him to do, so that he doesn't have to worry about my house all day long. You don't really believe it, do you? Wan Qiqi stared at him and asked, but she was more confused. She had learned some micro-expressions, and Bai Sanyuan had deep feelings for Wan Guiming. Obviously, it was not because of what she said. Did Bai Sanyuan always think that Wan Guiming was his brother? Bai Sanyuan looked annoyed. Wan Qiqi was talking nonsense, and it was just a blind cat catching a dead mouse, causing him to let the cat out of the bag and harm Wan Guiming. Bai Fengshuo saw a clue and asked Miss Wan, "Do you know something? I only know that Wan Guiming is a member of their Wan family and has nothing to do with your Bai family. He is the darling of old man Wan. He didn't care about my father, didn't raise him or teach him. After my father died, he bullied us sisters and wanted to my house for Wan Guiming. They have a deep father-son relationship." Wan Qiqi didn't tell her father's background, nor did she want to recognize the Bai family. Bai Fengshuo looked thoughtful, and the look in his eyes when he looked at Wan Qiqi was more meaningful. Bai Sanyuan's brain was not as flexible as his son's, and he didn't react, and asked, "Wan Guiming has a birthmark on his ace. It can't be fake." His father also had a crescent birthmark on his ace, but he didn't have it, but his son did, so this crescent birthmark must be unique to the Bai family, but not every member of the Bai family has it. How can it not be fake? The birthmark on Wan Guiming's ace was made by me. Wan Qiqi was too lazy to talk to Bai Sanyuan, his brain was not sharp, and it was a waste of her time. She looked at Bai Fengshuo and asked directly, "Can you do it tomorrow?" "Yes, don't worry." Bai Fengshuo answered very affirmatively. "Goodbye." Wan Qiqi stood up and said goodbye. "I'll take you." Bai Fengshuo followed behind. It was dark outside, and almost everyone in the village was asleep. "You go back, and I'll wait for your good news tomorrow." Wan Qiqi asked him to go back. "I'll take you back. It's not safe for a girl to walk alone at night." Bai Fengshuo looks gentle and refined, but he is very opinionated and domineering in what he says and does. The two walked on the country road. Neither of them spoke, and there was only the sound of their footsteps. "You are my cousin, right?" Bai Fengshuo suddenly asked, as he had guessed it just now. Wan Qiqi neither denied nor admitted it, and asked, "Why does your father treat Wan Guiming as a brother?" "Zhu Sanmei and my grandfather told me that my grandfather wanted to take him home to raise, but Zhu Sanmei did not agree. My grandfather missed his son very much, and secretly gave him a lot of money and food. When he was dying, he asked my father to take care of Wan Guiming." Bai Fengshuo's expression was sarcastic, and there was a hint of cruelty. Zhu Sanmei and his wife used the money and food defrauded by their own son, but they didn't spend a penny on his uncle. Instead, they abused his uncle. They were really vicious. Fortunately, Wan Qiqi, the cousin, fought hard and kept the house. If Wan Guiming is really your uncle, how could a person like old man Wan treat him as his heart and soul? Your grandfather and your father have been fooled by him. Wan Qiqi felt that Bai Sanyuan and his son were both stupid and were fooled around by old man Wan. Fortunately, Bai Fengshuo fought hard. "You broke off the engagement with He Jianjun?" Bai Fengshuo was silent for a long time and then asked again. He heard what Huanqi said. Huanqi scolded He Jianjun for being an ungrateful person, and also said that Wan Qiqi went to the army to find He Jianjun. "I'm retired, and I've found a good partner again, who is an officer. After things here are settled, I will go to the city to work." Wan Qiqi heard his concern and knew that he must have guessed the truth, but the two of them tacitly did not recognize each other. "Congratulations, don't worry about your hometown, I will visit often." Although Bai Fengshuo was surprised, he was not too surprised. Wan Qiqi was not an ordinary girl at first glance, and what she did was naturally not ordinary. "Thank you." "You're welcome." The two did not speak again after that. They walked to Wanjiabei, sent Wan Qiqi to the door of her house, and Bai Fengshuo was about to go back. "Take the flashlight, you don't have to return it." Wan Qiqi stuffed the flashlight to him. She had a good impression of this cheap cousin, who was a sensible person. "Thank you." Bai Fengshuo was not polite. He looked at her deeply and turned away. Wan Qiqi did not go home. She went to He Jianjun's house because she had something important to do. She originally planned to leave some English letters for the He family and then go to the commune to report that the He family was an overseas spy, but after digging up the radio, she changed her mind. With this radio, the He family's identity as spies was confirmed. In the previous life, no one in the He family had ever been soft on the original body. Those rumors were spread by the He family. They were one of the direct murderers who forced the original body to death and must die. Wan Chi-Chi went to the backyard of the He family. The whole family was asleep. She dug a hole in the firewood room of the He family, buried the radio transmitter in it, covered it with soil, and stepped on it tightly before leaving. It was already very late at night. Wan Chi-Chi yawned loudly, tears in her eyes. Forget it. She would go to the commune to report tomorrow and go back to sleep. Wan Chi-Chi slept all night without dreams and woke up naturally, awakened by the smell. She sniffed hard. It was rice tofu. Wan Chi-Chi's eyes lit up. She jumped up, put on her clothes, tied her hair, and ran out. Sure enough, Wan Shuangjiang was making rice tofu, and she must have gotten up before dawn. Chi-Chi, get up, I just made rice tofu, do you want to have a bowl? Wan Shuangjiang asked with a smile. Chi-Chi and Xiaoxue both love rice tofu. She got up specially to make it. Yes, put more chili. Wan Chi-Chi scooped hot water to wash up, and soon she was ready. Wan Shuangjiang served a bowl of hot rice tofu and held it in front of her. Rice tofu delicious. Wan Chi-Chi scooped a spoonful. It was tender, smooth, fresh, and spicy. Wan Shuangjiang's cooking skills were really good. She could open a shop. She ate 3 bowls of rice tofu. She was sweating, and her body was very warm. Do you want more? Wan Shuangjiang asked. I'm full. Burp. Wan Chi-Chi burped several times. She was so full that she planned to walk to the commune to digest the food. 2 hours later, Wan Chi-Chi arrived at the commune. She looked around, threw the anonymous letter of complaint on the table in the office of the Cutting Tail Society, and then wandered around the town. An hour later, a group of people wearing red armbands rushed out aggressively and headed towards Ruanjiawan. Wan Chi-Chi was happy. The efficiency of the Tail Cutting Society was really fast, comparable to the marriage of Lu Ye's father. She touched her belly. After walking for 2 hours and 20 or 30 miles, the 3 bowls of rice tofu had all disintegrated. She had to go get a bowl of noodles to replenish it. She turned around and walked back. There was only one restaurant in the town, which she had just passed. The restaurant was opposite the supply and marketing cooperative. Wan Chi-Chi walked to the door of the restaurant and saw Bai Fengshou and his sister walking out of the supply and marketing cooperative, both of them carrying backpacks. Bai Huanqi saw her. Her eyes lit up, opened her mouth, but still closed it. There were people coming and going in the town, and she was afraid of being seen and implicated Wan Chi-Chi. Bai Fengshou nodded slightly. Wan Chi-Chi walked towards them and asked openly, Are you here to buy things? I went to the purchasing station to sell some medicinal materials and came here to buy peach cakes. Grandma has been craving for a long time, Bai Huanqi said in a low voice. She and her brother went to the mountains to collect herbs, dried them, and sold them to the purchasing station in the town. This is their family's main source of income. Grandma had been talking about peach cakes a few days ago, saying that she hadn't eaten them for a long time, but the family really couldn't afford it. Even if they sold the herbs, they couldn't afford it. The family had no oil, salt, sauce, and vinegar. If they bought these, they would have no money to buy peach cakes. Fortunately, Wan Chi-Chi gave 200 yuan last night, which solved her family's urgent need. The Cutting Tail Society went to arrest Wan Guiming. Bai Fengshou said, Did you hand in the report letter? Bai Fengshou nodded. He handed in the report letter as soon as he arrived in the town. He saw the people from the Cutting Tail Society open the letter with his own eyes, and then he and his sister went to the purchasing station to sell herbs. He didn't know that Wan Chi-Chi came right after he left and handed in another report letter, which ruined the surprise of the Cutting Tail Society. Wan Chi-Chi raised the corner of her mouth and said, Today is a good day. Let's have dinner together. I'll treat you. It's not good for people to see. Bai Fengshou refused, for he was afraid of implicating Wan Chi-Chi. It's okay. Just say I'm teaching you to recite quotations. Let's go. Wan Chi-Chi said, and went into the restaurant. Bai Fengshou hesitated for a few seconds and followed her in. Give me a 3-in-1 soup, duck cake, steamed pork with rice flour, and fried pig blood cake with garlic sprouts. Wan Chi-Chi ordered 4 hard dishes. She had never eaten duck cake before and wanted to try it. The dishes were served one after another. They all tasted good and had enough ingredients. What Wan Chi wanted to eat the most was duck cake. She thought it was a vegetarian dish because it didn't look like duck at all. It was a golden bowl with golden rice crust on the top and golden paste on the bottom. She picked up a piece of rice crust and ate it. It actually tasted like duck meat. The paste also tasted like duck meat. This duck cake really tasted like duck. Duck cake, also called pounded duck, is made by chopping the duck meat and bones into pieces, adding water and rice flour and cooking it into a paste. The best part is the rice crust 3-in-1 soup at the bottom of the pot, which is made of ox blood, tripe, and beef. Laudy delicacies, it's delicious. You guys eat it. Wan Chi was very satisfied with the duck cake and invited the brother and sister to eat it. Bai Fengshou and his sister were no longer polite and ate heartily. They hadn't eaten meat for a long time. Even on New Year's Eve, there was no meat on the table. They had long forgotten what meat tasted like. The three of them were very powerful. They finished all 4 large plates of dishes, plus 15 bowls of rice. Bai Fengshou ate 7 bowls alone, and Bai Huanqi also ate 4 bowls. The brother and sister had a good appetite. Wan Chi went to pay. It was much cheaper than Tanzhou City, only 5 yuan and 80 yuan, plus a half-pound meat ticket, which was very cost-effective. She packed up the remaining duck cakes in the restaurant and put them in the space to bring to Lu Yi to taste. On the way back, Bai Fengshou and his brother stayed away from her and didn't talk to her anymore. The three of them walked back slowly, more than 10 meters away. After walking for another 2 hours, they finally returned to the village. Bai Fengshou and his sister returned to Bailey Village. Wan Chi looked at the watch. It was 1:30 in the afternoon. The villagers should have gone to work at this time, but there was no one in the farmland by the road. Before reaching the entrance of the village, she heard a noisy noise mixed with crying. Wan Chi listened carefully, and it seemed to be He Jianjun's mother. It's unfair. I don't even know this thing. Who the Hades buried it in my family's woodshed? Leader, we are really wronged. His mother sat on the ground and cried, her hair disheveled, tears streaming down her face, and she looked very embarrassed. His father stood beside her in a daze, looking like an idiot. He Jianjun's elder brother and sister-in-law were also scared. There was the rusty radio on the ground, and the iron box was still covered with mud. The villagers surrounded the place in 3 layers. Almost everyone in the village came to watch the fun, and no one went to work. The team leader was also there. He was sweating profusely and hated the He family. The spy was hiding so deeply that he didn't even notice it. Thinking that he had lived in the same village with a bunch of spies for so many years, the captain felt a chill on his back and was very scared. The radio has been dug out, and you still dare to quibble. Tell me, who sent you? The red armband leader was a man in his 20s or 30s, tall and thin, wearing glasses. He looked like he had hyperthyroidism and was very excited. No one sent us. We are really wronged. That thing was someone framing us. Leader, please investigate it. His mother cried more sadly than if the man had died. No matter how stupid she was, she knew that as long as the espionage charge was confirmed, she would surely die. She didn't want to die. Leader, their son stole the credit of others in the army and was expelled from the army. He will also be brought to a military court. Wan Chi squeezed in and shouted. The He family's faces changed drastically, and they looked at her with resentment. This, which wants to force them to death. The man with hyperthyroidism became more excited. His eyes turned red. He stared at the He family and said angrily, "We actually let you sneak into the army. Tell me, how much information did you steal? Tell the truth." The He family refused to admit it and just said that they were wronged. Deal with the enemy like ice. Never show mercy. Wan Chi raised her arms and shouted. The hyperthyroid man and his group looked at her with very fiery eyes. This female comrade is quite good. She can be their colleague. That's right. Beat them hard. A loud female voice rang out in the crowd. It was Wan Xiaoxue. Emotions are contagious. The sisters' high spirits infected many people. Several villagers also started shouting slogans. Gradually, more and more people shouted, and finally it became unison, all shouting to beat the He family. The He family members were pale and desperate. A large group of people pounced on them, surrounded the He family members, and beat them. The He family members were beaten and wailed for mercy, but these people beat them even harder. Half an hour later, the He family members were lying on the ground with bruises all over their bodies, and He's father also pleaded guilty. I picked it up in the mountains. I thought it was something valuable, so I took it home and hid it. I really didn't know it was a radio transmitter. His father made up a story. He was still fantasizing that the tail-cutting society would let his family go. But he didn't know that the tail-cutting society had no results in the past 2 months. Just when they were worried, they received 2 letters of complaint. Both of them were big cases. How could they let go? They must get to the bottom of it. The He family was, and the man with hyperthyroidism asked the team leader, "Juan Guiming is from your team, right? Call him over, and his parents too." The team leader was stunned. He had just calmed down a little, but then all the anger rose to his throat again. It must be bad for the tail-cutting society to find someone. Juan Guiming, this unlucky guy, must not get into trouble. At this moment, the team leader had not anticipated the seriousness of the matter. "Leader, what do you want to do with Juan Guiming?" The team leader wanted to inquire first, to be mentally prepared. Ever since the crazy woman Juan Chichi came back, his heart has been either up or down, and he hasn't been at peace for a single day.
What a sin. Just call people when I tell you to.
Why are there so many problems? The man with hyperthyroidism scolded with a stern face and looked the captain up and down with sharp eyes with a bit of scrutiny, which made the captain's scalp tingle and cold sweat on his forehead. "Your surname is also Juan. What is your relationship with Juan Guiming?" The man with hyperthyroidism squinted and looked at the captain as if he was looking at a class enemy. "We are just ordinary relations, leader. It is absolutely true. There are more than 100 people with the surname Juan in our Orangiawan, and we have the same ancestor, and we are already 5 generations apart." The captain shuddered and hurriedly distanced himself from him, and even exaggerated the facts a little. In fact, he and Juan Guiming were not even 5 generations apart, but who cares? He didn't want to have anything to do with this unlucky guy at all. Juan Chichi, who was hiding in the crowd, sneered secretly. When something happened, he ran faster than a dog. The captain was a fence-sitter. She didn't point out that the captain was lying, and this old thing was still useful. The man with hyperthyroidism let the captain go and asked him to quickly call Juan Guiming's family over. "I'll go right away." The captain heaved a sigh of relief and wiped the cold sweat from his forehead with his hand. When he raised his leg went weak, and he almost fell. He quickly held onto the tree next to him and stood firm. He glanced at the crowd and happened to see Nguyen Kim Phuc, Nguyen Guiming's eldest son. "Kim Phuc, go and call all the family members. The leader wants to see them for something important." The captain waved at Nguyen Kim Phuc. Nguyen Kim Phuc was 23 years old and not married yet. He was a lazy scoundrel. He also had an equally lazy brother named Nguyen Jingui, 21 years old, not married yet. The girl thought they were poor and didn't even have a decent house, so Nguyen Guiming would be so vicious as to rob his niece's house. Nguyen Kim Phuc was on the outer layer of the crowd, far away, and didn't hear the conversation between the captain and the man with hyperthyroidism. He was still smiling and watching the excitement of the He family. "Second uncle, should we ask them to come and watch the excitement?" Nguyen Kim Phuc joked with a grin. "Look at you are such a... Just shout when I tell you to. Why are you talking so much nonsense?" The captain cursed angrily, saying that the stupid thing was so stupid that it didn't even know that a disaster was coming. Nguyen Kim Phuc curled his lips and muttered softly, "You rascal, you're showing off in front of me." But even though he cursed, he still went to call for help. A quarter of an hour later, Nguyen Guiming came with the limping Yang Huiying, followed by old man Ruan and third sister Zhu, as well as Ruan Jingui and his sister Ruan Qiufang. The whole family was together. "Second brother, why did you ask us to come here?" Huiying's feet hurt so much that she couldn't even walk. Juan Guiming's tone was very dissatisfied. Recently, the team leader always favored that little witch, Juan Chichi. He had a lot of resentment in his heart, but he didn't dare to break up with the team leader, so he could only say a few sarcastic words. The villagers took the initiative to make way for his family. Wan Guiming walked in and saw the miserable He family, all covered in blood. He was shocked and felt uneasy. He looked at the team leader and asked with his eyes. The team leader pretended not to see it. "Are you Wan Guiming? Are you Zhu Sanmei?" The man with hyperthyroidism looked at the two people, his eyes becoming sharper and sharper. "Yes, I am Wan Guiming. She is my mother, Zhu Sanmei." "What's the matter with the leader?" Wan Guiming felt even more uneasy. Cold sweat began to appear on his forehead, and his body trembled involuntarily, looking like a guilty thief. The man with hyperthyroidism frowned and gave a look to his two men. "Take off his pants." The two energetic young men strode over, as fast as lightning, and quickly subdued Wan Guiming. "What are you doing?" "I am a poor peasant. Let me go. Don't pull my pants off." Wan Guiming held his belt tightly, looking terrified, shouting in a timid way. "You may not be a poor peasant. Let go." A spirited young man snorted coldly, and with a little force, Wan Guiming let go of his hand. His belt was also torn open, and his pants were quickly pulled down to the bottom, revealing his underpants full of patches. "They are hooligans, second brother. They are being hooligans to me. Why don't you care?" Wan Guiming was ashamed and afraid. He had a very bad premonition that as long as his pants were torn off, something bad would definitely happen. The team leader pretended to be deaf and dumb and turned his head away. Now, he just wanted to stay away from this unlucky family. Wan Guiming held on to his pants in a desperate struggle, but he didn't struggle for too long. Soon they were torn open, revealing his big buttocks. On the left side was a pale blue crescent moon. The hyperthyroid man walked closer, bent down, and looked at the crescent moon carefully. Sure enough, it was exactly the same as described in the report letter. Wan Guiming was the illegitimate son of the white landlord. He had escaped for so many years. We received a report letter that Wan Guiming was the child of Zhu Sanmei and the white landlord. He has the same birthmark on his ace as the white landlord. The evidence is conclusive. Wan Guiming is the landlord's son lurking among the masses. He is a fish that has slipped through the net. Fortunately, the conscious masses reported it and we caught him. The man with hyperthyroidism raised his chin, posed as if giving a speech, and loudly announced the fact that Wan Guiming was a landlord's son. Hiss! The villagers all gasped. This was even more shocking than the radio that was dug out of He Jianjun's house. Zhu Sanmei had actually had an affair with the Bai landlord and gave birth to Wan Guiming, a landlord's son. This was too shocking. Old man Wan had been raising the Bai landlord's son for more than 40 years. Wan Guiming stood there in a daze. He had forgotten to pull up his pants. His bare feet were freezing in the cold wind, but he didn't feel cold. His mind was blank, and only the words landlord's son echoed in his ears. How could he be the Bai landlord's son? How could his mother have an affair with the Bai landlord? His mother wasn't good looking either. Was the Bai landlord's taste so bad? Zhu Sanmei was also dumbfounded. It had been decades since her affair with the Bai landlord. She couldn't even remember it herself. How could anyone report it?
Who the Hades was that beast?
Nonsense. Guiming is my own son. He has a relationship with the Bai landlord. The person who reported it must have a grudge against me. He is slandering me. Old man Wan reacted quickly and denied it flatly. He also glanced at Wan Qiqi with a particularly gloomy look because he felt that this little witch was the most suspicious. No wonder Bai Sanyuan looked so familiar to me. It turns out he looks like Wan Guiming, my god. They have the same father. Wan Qiqi screamed in surprise. She was guiding the crowd's thinking. Wan Guiming and Bai Sanyuan were only a little bit alike, and Ruan's father was actually more alike. But Lu's father was gone, and Wan Guiming was still alive. As long as she guided them a little, everyone would see that they looked more and more alike. Sure enough, whispers arose in the crowd, and the voices became louder and louder, and a few sentences floated out. She really looks like Bai Sanyuan, especially the mouth, which is exactly the same. I can't tell that Zhu Sanmei is ugly, but plays with flowers. The landlord Bai is too unpicky. You don't understand this. The most important thing for a woman is that she is coquettish. Appearance comes second. Anyway, they are all the same when the lights are turned off. So, Zhu Sanmei is particularly coquettish? Nonsense. How could she have an affair with the landlord Bai if she wasn't promiscuous? And how could she give birth to a landlord's son? The villagers pointed at their Wan family and talked without any scruples. The more people looked at Wan Guiming, the more they felt that he was like Bai Sanyuan but not like old man Wan at all. I didn't have an affair with the landlord Bai. Wan Guiming was born to me and my husband. Don't listen to Wan Qiqi's nonsense. She is very vicious. Zhu Sanmei was relatively calm and not particularly panicked. The landlord Bai was already dead. As long as she refused to admit it, she would definitely not be convicted. In addition, she knew very well that Wan Guiming was indeed not the child of the landlord Bai, but the dead father Wan. She knew whose son she gave birth to. If he is not the child of the landlord Bai, why does he have the birthmark of the Bai family on his ace? And Wan Jinfu and Wan Jingui, they are lazy and have no ambition. They are the style of landlord sons. We poor peasants are all hardworking people who are self-reliant and have enough food and clothing. Wan Qiqi squeezed in a little more and asked loudly one question after another. The people in the Cutting Tails Society all had praise on their faces. They admired her more and wanted to recruit her more. Gui Ming is your uncle. If he is in trouble, you will not have a good life either. Old man Wan warned with red eyes and gritted teeth. Oh, I forgot to inform you that the three of us sisters have severed our relationship with your family. Look, the leader has stamped the official seal, and it is clearly written in black and white. Because your family is lazy and greedy, your thinking is backward, your consciousness is too low, and you don't even study the quotations from the past carefully, we sisters disdain to be your relatives. Leader, please take a look. Wan Qiqi took out the document of severing the relationship, and the bright red official seal was clearly visible. She shook it a few times at their Wan family and handed it to the man with hyperthyroidism for review. The man with hyperthyroidism took it, glanced through it, and nodded slightly. Comrade Wan Qiqi is very conscious. He saw through the landlord roots of your family very early on. This severance of relationship is a good decision. The man with hyperthyroidism had already thought of Wan Qiqi. He had heard from others that there was a beautiful girl who wanted to break off the relationship with her grandparents and uncle's family. The girl knew the quotations by heart and could recite them backwards. She was a very good comrade. Now that he had seen it with his own eyes, he had a better impression of Wan Qiqi, and he began to cherish her talent. You broke off the relationship? You rebellious beast. Old man Wan was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He didn't expect Wan Qiqi to dare to break off the relationship without saying a word. This little witch was really crazy and didn't even care about her face. If I don't break off the relationship, do I have to be relatives with a family of landlords and like you? You are shameless, but we sisters still have some dignity. Bah. Wan Qiqi spat at old man Wan fiercely, her face full of disgust. Old man Wan gritted his teeth. He wanted to beat the little witch to death, but the most important thing now was to sever the relationship between his son and the landlord Bai. Leader, the landlord Bai is already dead. Who knows if he has a birthmark on his ace? Someone must have thrown dirty water on my son. Gui Ming is my biological child. Absolutely true. Old man Wan winked at his wife. Zhu Sanmei understood what he meant and also shouted out loud that she was not having an affair with the landlord Bai. I haven't spoken to him. The person who reported it is so bad-hearted. He deliberately wants to force our family to death. Leader, you must catch this bad guy and redress our family's grievances. Zhu Sanmei sat down on the ground, beating her chest and stamping her feet, crying out for injustice. The man with hyperthyroidism also became hesitant. The landlord Bai had turned into ashes, and there was indeed no way to confirm the birthmark. The landlord Bai is dead, but his children and grandchildren are still alive. Since this birthmark is unique to the Bai family, we can find out by asking the Bai family to verify it. Wan Qiqi said loudly. The man with hyperthyroidism's eyes lit up, and he immediately asked his men to go to Bailey Village and bring the landlord Bai's family over. Old man Juan stared at Juan Chichi, his eyes more vicious than a poisonous snake. Juan Chichi rolled his eyes at him, made a poo sound, and cursed loudly. Plague old man. Puff old man. Juan couldn't hold it in anymore and spit out a mouthful of blood. His face turned gray and didn't look very well. Zhu Sanmei screamed and quickly patted him on the back to calm him down. She glared at Juan Chichi viciously and cursed, "Little beast, you will die a miserable death if struck by lightning." Report to the leader. Zhu Sanmei is promoting feudal superstition. Juan Chichi raised her hand and complained loudly. The man with hyperthyroidism glanced at one of his subordinates, and the energetic young man walked over and slapped Zhu Sanmei. "You old witch, behave yourself." For such shameless witches, they always deal very harshly and will not show any mercy. Zhu Sanmei's skinny face swelled up on one side in an instant. One side was a wrinkled old face, and the other side was a swollen pig head, which looked very funny. This slap scared their Juan family members, and they dared not breathe. At this time, their Juan family members were still dreaming and did not understand the current situation. The villagers talked unscrupulously, and they didn't want to go to work. They just wanted to watch the show. In one day, a nest of spies and a nest of landlord sons were caught. This is a show that is rare in a century. If you miss it, you will regret it for the rest of your life. It takes 2 hours to go from Ranjia Bay to Bailey Village and back. Everyone waited patiently, and more people gathered around. Even the trees were full of people. 2 hours later, Bai Fengshou came with a kind-looking old lady on his back, followed by Bai Huanxi, but Bai Sanyuan and his wife were not there. Bai Sanyuan accompanied the guests back to her parents' home. The subordinates came to report. The man with hyperthyroidism didn't care, even with Bai Fengshou around. "Leader, I'll go into the house to show you." Bai Fengshou lowered his head and looked submissive, and even bent his waist slightly, behaving very obediently.
"Go."
The man with hyperthyroidism was very satisfied with his tact and asked his subordinates to take him into the house to check the birthmark. Bai Huanxi supported his grandmother Xia Taoji and stood beside her meekly. Xia Taoji's hair was completely white, her face was thin, and her complexion was very bad, but she could still see her charm when she was young. She covered her mouth and coughed from time to time, and her physical condition was very poor. Juan Chichi moved a chair, placed it in front of Xia Taoji, and shouted in a rough voice, "Sit down." She then said to the man with hyperthyroidism, "Leader, although the landlord's wife is a bad element, she is now an important witness. She is so sick that she may die at any time. Let her sit. Even if she dies, she has to wait until she testifies. Don't you think so?" The man with hyperthyroidism was originally suspicious, thinking that he had misjudged Juan Chichi, who was so nice to the landlord's wife. After listening to her words, his suspicion disappeared immediately. That's right, he would rather die than die after he has testified. The man with hyperthyroidism showed approval and glanced at Xia Taoji with a frown and disgust in his eyes. Bai Huanxi and her grandma behaved submissively and dared not say a word. She helped her grandmother to sit down and was very grateful to Juan Chichi. She knew that Juan Chichi said that on purpose, otherwise the Cutting Tail Society would definitely be suspicious. After Xia Taoji sat down, she breathed a sigh of relief and felt better. She couldn't stand standing. Report, Bai Fengshou has a birthmark on his ace, exactly the same as Wan Guiming's. The subordinates came out with Bai Fengshou and reported loudly. Everyone's face changed, and the way they looked at Wan Guiming also changed. He is really a landlord's son. He is indeed a landlord's son. No wonder he is lazy and wants to rob my house. He is more cruel than Zhou Baopi. Comrades, beat Wan Guiming. Juan Chichi brought a small stool from somewhere, stood on it, and shouted loudly. After shouting, she rushed over bravely, grabbed Wan Guiming by the collar and punched and kicked him. Wan Xiaoxue and Wan Shuangjiang also rushed over to help. The three sisters hated this family so much that they were particularly cruel. You landlord's son dare to resist? I will destroy you on behalf of the poor peasants. Ruan Qiqi was hit by Ruan Guiming, and her anger rose. She rushed over like crazy, pressed Ruan Guiming to the ground and rode on him and beat him left and right. The group of hyperthyroid men were dumbfounded. This girl is too active. I didn't know that she was the one who was in the tail-cutting society. With the beginning of the three sisters of Ruan Qiqi, other villagers who had conflicts with Ruan Guiming and his wife also rushed up to seek revenge, and they were all ruthless, beating the whole family black and blue. However, they were still polite to Ruan Qiufang. This woman was a smiling tiger, and she was popular in the village. Besides, she was a girl, so the villagers all let her go. Ruan Qiufang is 20 years old this year, and she is not married yet. She looks pretty. She often has a smile on her face and speaks softly. The old people in the village like her very much, but because Ruan Qiufang's family is too poor and she has two lazy brothers, she has always had trouble finding a partner. In her previous life, Ruan Qiufang and Yang Weijie conspired to kill Ruan Xiaoxue and occupied the house. This woman was sweet-mouthed but poisonous at heart, a venomous snake that hid very deeply. Ruan Xiaoxue and Ruan Shuangjiang did not discover her true face. Mount Tai is pressing down on my head. Ruan Qiqi screamed, jumped 3 feet high, and then fell freely, pressing heavily on Ruan Guiming's stomach. He rolled his eyes and fainted. She kicked the man aside and excitedly rushed towards Ruan Qiufang, who was hiding in the corner. I'm going to beat you to death, you little landlord's rascal. Your grandfather is a white landlord, your grandmother is your father is a landlord's rascal, you are a landlord's rascal, and your whole family is a bad element. Ruan Qiqi grabbed Ruan Qiufang's hair, hit her in the face, kicked her stomach, pinched her neck, and hit her wherever it hurt. Ruan Qiufang was no match for her and was beaten without any ability to fight back. Qiqi, I didn't offend you. I even helped you. Ruan Qiufang cried and begged for mercy. Her original body had a good relationship with her before, but after she died and became a ghost, she discovered her true face and hated her. Bah, landlord's rascal, don't try to make friends with me. I feel dirty even if I beat you. Ruan Qiqi spat at her and used force with her hands to rip out a handful of her hair. The roots of her hair were still stained with blood. Ruan Qiufang turned pale with pain and tears streamed down her face. You can't even bear this little pain? You exploited us poor peasants even more cruelly. We have suffered so much and endured so much hardship.
Your pain is nothing compared to that.
Ruan Qiqi lectured her righteously and stood on the highest moral ground. Everyone felt that she beat him well and cleverly. To deal with the sons of landlords, one must be as cold and ruthless as winter. I'm not a landlord's son. My father was wronged. Mom, you know it best. There is no birthmark on my father's ace. He must have been framed. Ruan Qiufang endured the pain and yelled at Yang Huiying. She also winked at her mother and told her to insist that there was no birthmark. Yes, Guiming has no birthmark on his ace. I know it best. Yang Huiying finally came to her senses. In fact, she had been suspicious before, but she was not sure, and her mind was confused. After all, she and Ruan Guiming did it at night, in the dark, and she did not stare at his ace, so she was not sure. Zhu Sanmei finally came to her senses and shouted, Guiming was born with a smooth ace, without a birthmark. He is not the son of a white landlord. Ruan Qiqi swung her hand and slapped the old woman hard, cursing, the evidence is conclusive and you are still quibbling. Ruan Guiming has such a big birthmark on his ace, and the whole village has seen it. After scolding her, he slapped her again and kicked the old woman hard. He then walked over and kicked Yang Huiying a few more times. His main attack was indiscriminate, not letting anyone go. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law cried and protested, but no one believed them. After all, such a big birthmark was on the buttocks and everyone saw it. Even old man Ruan began to doubt. Did Zhu Sanmei lie to him? Leader, my grandma has something important to report. Bai Fengshou took the initiative to say.
Speak.
The man with hyperthyroidism nodded. Xia Taoji covered her mouth and coughed a few times and said in a hoarse voice, I can prove that Zhu Sanmei and Bai Monsong had an affair. I saw it with my own eyes. They often did it in the barn of my house. I heard Zhu Sanmei say with my own ears that she gave Bai Monsong a son and named him Wan Guiming, and asked Bai Monsong to take Wan Guiming as his godson, so that there would be a reason to give money and food to support their son. You're talking nonsense. I didn't say these to Bai Monsong. I was obviously talking about Wan Gui. Zhu Sanmei was interrupted by a slap from Old Man Wan before she finished speaking. You witch, you actually lied to me. I will beat you to death, you old witch. Old Man Wan slapped him again, his eyes full of resentment. He finally sorted out the matter. The old witch Zhu Sanmei, together with Bai Monsong, played tricks on him, making him think that Wan Guiping was Bai Monsong's child and Wan Guiming was his child. Old Man Wan closed his eyes in regret. He thought of the dead Wan Guiping, and his heart ached. That was his biological son. But he was fooled by Zhu Sanmei. He ignored his own son and drove him out of the house at the age of 15. If he hadn't suffered from hunger and cold in those years, Guiping would not have been so badly damaged and died early. Witch, I'm going to kill you. The more old Wan thought about it, the more regretful he felt. He used to be complacent, thinking that he had Bai Monsong in his control and had cheated a lot of money and grain back. Little did he know that Bai Monsong was just using his own trick to raise his own son openly. He hated it so much. Puff Old Wan spat out another mouthful of blood. His face was gray and pale, and he really didn't look well. Old man, I didn't lie to you. Guiming is really your son. I really didn't lie to you. Zhu Sanmei, who was speechless, was almost dying of anxiety. What she said was the truth. Why didn't the old man believe her? Bai Fengshuo's mouth corners slightly raised, but his eyes were cold. This was just the beginning. He still had a trump card. Leader, I have another important evidence. Bai Monsong loved his son, Wan Guiming, very much, and specially made a gold longevity lock for him. He was afraid that his son would not recognize him when he grew up, so he wrote his and his son's name on the lock, hoping to recognize his son when he grew up. This lock must be in Ruan's house. Xia Taoji slowly told another explosive evidence. She had no feelings for Bai Monsong, nor did she hate Zhu Sanmei. On the contrary, she was a little grateful. After all, Zhu Sanmei gave birth to a son for her. She did not have any deep feelings for Bai Sanyuan, her cheap son, but Bai Fengshuo was her precious grandson, her beloved baby for whom she could even give her life. So, when Bai Fengshuo asked her to come and give evidence, she came without hesitation. As soon as Xia Taoji finished speaking, Zhu Sanmei's expression became panic. She had no idea that there was a name on the lock. The man with hyperthyroidism took his men to Wan Guiming's house to search for the longevity lock and soon found it. It was in Zhu Sanmei's dowry box, wrapped in a piece of cloth. The longevity lock was made very delicately and glittered with gold. Sure enough, there were two names engraved on the lock, Monsong in front and Guiming in the back. Sure enough, their names. Wan Guiming is the landlord's son, and Zhu Sanmei is A. The man with hyperthyroidism was very excited. He accomplished two major things in one day. The leader would definitely praise him at the next meeting. Take everyone away. The man with hyperthyroidism gave an order. The He family and Wan Guiming's family were all taken away, except Old Man Wan. After all, he was also a victim, and he was so green on the head. The man with hyperthyroidism walked up to Wan Qiqi and said politely, "Comrade, do you want to join us?" He really cherished the talent. It had been many years since he had seen such an emotional female comrade. Talents were hard to come by, and he couldn't bear to miss them. The captain, who was standing next to him and smiling very flatteringly, was stunned for a moment and couldn't help picking his ears. Did he hear it wrong? The Guawei Society is a good unit. Working there has a high status and good benefits. Even the commune cadres dare not disrespect it. Many people are trying their best to get in. The captain also wanted to arrange his youngest son to go in, but he was not capable enough and had to go to the army in the end. He looked at Wan Qiqi with great jealousy and had other ideas in his mind. Could it be that he could get into the Guawei Society just by going crazy? If he had known earlier, he would have let his youngest son go crazy. Although the army is good, he wants his youngest son to be at his doorstep more. Moreover, he has a son who works in the Guawei society. People in the surrounding area dare not disrespect him. How decent! Wan Qiqi was very proud. She was indeed a genius that everyone loves. Thank you for your kindness, leader, but I will leave Ruanja Bay in a while and go to Tanzhou City to join the army. Wan Qiqi refused. She had no interest in the tail-cutting society. The hyperthyroid man looked surprised and his tone became more polite. He asked, "Is your partner an officer?" "Yes, the deputy battalion commander of the Tanzhou military region. He is getting married this month. I hope the leaders will come and have a drink at the wedding," Wan Qiqi said with a smile. "I must come to ask for a drink. What a coincidence. My brother is also in the Tanzhou military region. He just joined the army last year. His thinking is not mature enough. He needs more advice from the leaders." The hyperthyroid man was a little arrogant at first, but after knowing that Wan Qiqi's partner was an officer, he became much more polite. After learning that he was the deputy battalion commander, his back slumped a little, and he became a little respectful. No matter what year it is, the one holding the gun is the boss, so he would send his younger brother to the army. One of them is in the tail-cutting society and the other is in the army. With two flowers blooming and making progress together, one of them will have a great future. What a coincidence. What's the leader's brother's name? Wan Qiqi understood what he meant and hoped that Lu Yi could take care of her brother. She did not refuse. She promised verbally anyway. Whether to take care of him or not would be decided after they met. "My brother's name is Ma Chunlai and my name is Ma Chunqing. Comrade Wan can just stay at home after joining the army. The military and the people are one family. Comrade Wan is committed to defending his country, and we must help guard the rear." Ma Chunqing showed great sincerity. With him as the director of the commune's cutting-off committee to protect them, no one dared to make plans against Wan Shuangjiang and Wan Xiaoxue. "Thank you, Director Ma. You are really a good cadre of the people," Wan Qiqi praised generously. Ma Chunqing laughed happily. He just loved to hear these words. The two chatted very speculatively. The team leader next to them couldn't even get a word in, and he didn't dare to leave, for fear that Ma Chunqing would ask him something. Seeing Director Ma, who usually looked down on others, chatting with Wan Qiqi like a family member, how friendly, the team leader felt jealous and cursed inwardly. "You look down on people. Why don't you get mad at Director Ma? Captain Wan, you have to study hard and raise your consciousness. There are so many bad elements hidden in the village, and you are completely unaware of it. If it weren't for the reports from enthusiastic people, your Ruanjiawan would have become a nest of spies and landlords." After chatting with Wan Qiqi, Ma Chunqing quickly restrained his smile, frowned, and criticized the team leader very harshly. "It's my fault. I will definitely study the quotations well in the future. Leaders are welcome to come to our Ruanjiawan for inspection at any time." The captain said timidly. His forehead was covered with cold sweat. He didn't dare to wipe it. His face turned pale with fear. Ma Chunqing said a few more official words, which scared the captain so much that his head almost went into his crotch. "Comrade Wan, see you later." After criticizing the captain, Ma Chunqing smiled at Wan Qiqi very kindly, and his tone became gentle. "See you later." Wan Qiqi waved his hand. Ma Chunqing left, and the He family and Wan Guoming's family also left. The villagers who came to watch the fun did not disperse, but were still chatting with interest. Today's melon was too big, and they couldn't digest it for a while. Bai Fengshou glanced at Wan Qiqi and left with his grandmother on his back. Bai Huanxi followed behind. The brother and sister didn't say hello to Wan Qiqi and her sister. It was as if they didn't know each other from beginning to end. The captain wiped the sweat from his forehead vigorously. Seeing the villagers chatting in groups of 3 or 2, he couldn't help but get angry and roared. "Are you not going to plant the land? Are you going to starve? Him. He is not a clairvoyant. How could he know that the He family had hidden a radio, let alone know that Zhu Sanmei and the landlord Bai had an affair decades ago? If he had this ability, how could he still stay in Ruanjiawan as a small captain? The villagers scattered like birds and beasts and left quickly. Old man Juan, who looked as pale as death, was still lying on the ground, with blood on the corners of his mouth and his eyes straight, looking like a fool. The captain sighed, walked over and shouted, "Uncle C, go home." Gui Ping, I regret it so much. Old man Ruan's scattered eyes gradually gathered, and he finally woke up. He hugged the captain and burst into tears, expressing his regrets, and looked at the three sisters of Ruan Chichi from time to time. Ruan Chichi snorted coldly, dragged Ruan Shuangjiang and Ruan Xiaoxue away. The old man wants to recognize his relatives. Don't be soft-hearted. On the way home, Ruan Chichi reminded them. Second sister, is Ruan Guiming really the son of the landlord Bai? Ruan Xiaoxue still felt like she was dreaming and couldn't believe it. The landlord Bai's cousin confirmed it. It can't be wrong. Ruan Chichi didn't tell them the truth, nor did she tell them about Ruan's father's life experience. Chichi, don't worry. Xiaoxue and I will definitely not be soft-hearted. If it weren't for the old man who abused Dad wouldn't have died so early. Ruan Shuangjiang hated the old man Juan to the bone. Dad Juan died after being ill for half a year. Before he died, Dad Juan talked about a lot of things in the past and said that he hated the old man Juan and Zhu Sanmei and asked the three sisters not to trust this family. Second sister, I won't be soft-hearted either. I hate them so much. Ruan Xiaoxue gritted her teeth. She was not Mr. Donghua. Ruan Chichi was satisfied. The original elder sister and younger sister could stand up with a little guidance. It was very good. It was getting dark. Ruan Shuangjiang made a fire to cook dinner. The family sat around a table, eating a sumptuous meal happily. The Ruan family not far away was deserted, with cold pots and cold stoves. Old man Ruan sat alone by the fire, motionless, like a dying tree. It was late at night. Ruan Chichi left the house and walked towards Bailey Village. She had to find out who the owner of the radio was. After walking for more than an hour, they finally arrived. Ruan Chichi chatted with the old camphor tree. The old camphor tree didn't recognize the radio, but after listening to her description of its general appearance and the fact that it was buried in the morgue, it finally remembered. It must be Li Lao's. He buried a black thing in a morgue, which is similar to the one you said. Li Lao is the fifth cousin who is a bandit. Ruan Chichi's eyes lit up. This old man is not only a bandit but also a spy. This is a big deal. The old camphor tree also said an important news. Li Lao has two good friends from other villages. They often came to him in the middle of the night in the past few years, but they have not been in touch in recent years. Ruan Chichi's first reaction was that these two people were Li Lao's accomplices, and maybe they were also spies. No, such a great achievement. She had to keep it for her man. Tomorrow she would go to the commune to call and ask Lu Yi to come and catch the spies. After chatting with the old camphor tree, Ruan Chichi walked back to Ruanjiawan. It was already very late at night. She chatted with the old peach tree for another half an hour by the pond. She knew a lot of secrets of Ruanjiawan and then went back to sleep contentedly. She slept until dawn, but the sun didn't shine on her ace because it was drizzling. Ruan Chichi frowned. The road to the commune was all muddy. After the rain, it was all muddy. She hated walking on muddy roads the most. We have broken off our relationship. Don't try to make friends. Ruan Xiaoxue's cold voice came from outside, as well as the hoarse voice of old man Ruan. This old man dared to come to the door. Get out if we recognize you. How can we be worthy of my father? Ruan Shuangjiang's face was as cold as ice, and she changed her gentle appearance in the past. She was the eldest daughter and had a deep relationship with Ruan's father. She would never forgive this old thing who killed her father. Go to my father underground to ask for forgiveness. Don't come to us. Ruan Xiaoxue added, her eyes full of hatred. Old man Ruan was like an eggplant hit by frost. His whole body had lost all vitality, and he looked 10 years older. He walked away with his head drooping, his back hunched, and an old and frail figure. His back looked pitiful, but Ruan Shuangjiang and Ruan Xiaoxue were hard-hearted. Their father was even more pitiful back then, and this plague old man didn't deserve any sympathy at all. Wan Chichi listened in the room for a while and was very satisfied. There aren't many glutinous rice cakes left. I'll go to the commune to get glutinous rice later. Xiao Xue, go get a few strong laborers to make glutinous rice cakes. Wan Chichi washed up, went to get breakfast, and told her about making glutinous rice cakes. Wan Xiaoxue agreed with a smile. In the morning there was still rice tofu. There was still some left from yesterday's making. Wan Chichi ate 3 more bowls and went out with the backpack on her back. She was very lucky today. On the way, she met Song Hongli again and drove over with a thump. Sister Chichi, get in the car. Song Hongli greeted them warmly from a distance. I'm here. Wan Chichi jumped up swiftly, took out 2 sugar-coated cakes wrapped in tung leaves from the backpack, and handed them over. Wan Shuangjiang steamed them and asked her to take them with her for the journey. Song Hongli didn't bother to be polite with her. He took it and started to eat it. He went to the commune to get distiller's grains, and he did it every few days. The two chatted enthusiastically along the way, and when he learned that Wan Chichi was going to make glutinous rice cakes, Song Hongli volunteered and said that he would help with his cousin Song Junjia. After arriving at the commune, the two went their separate ways. Wan Chichi went to make a phone call and waited for more than 10 minutes this time. Chichi, when can I come to your place to get acquainted? I miss you so much. Luya's tone on the phone was very aggrieved. Before he knew Wan Chichi, he had just lived like this alone, but since he met Chichi, he was not used to being alone, and he dreamed of her every night. After being diagnosed by the veterans, he was diagnosed with lovesickness, and it was a particularly serious kind. You can come today. I found a spy and his accomplices. You come to catch them, and don't let the credit let others. Wan Chichi covered the microphone with her hand and lowered her voice. I'll be here now, wait for me. Lu Yi was very happy and asked, Chichi, what do you want to eat? I'll bring it to you. Will your father reimburse you? Yes. Then bring some lotus leaf rice, tied chicken, and sugar-coated cakes. Wan Chichi ordered the dishes without hesitation. She had almost finished eating in her space. Okay, wait for me. After Lu Yi hung up the phone, he called his direct supervisor again. Director Mu, I received reliable information, and I have to catch the spy. Originally, he was planning to ask for leave, but since there was a spy, he didn't waste his vacation. He used it to play with Chichi while he went on a business trip. Soon, Lu Disheng received a call to send Lu Yi to carry out the mission. Okay, I'll arrange it now. Lu Disheng hung up the phone and asked the orderly to convey the mission instructions to Lu Yi. An hour later, Lu Yi drove out of the military area and made a lot of purchases in the city before driving to Wan Chichi's hometown. After Wan Chichi finished the call, she found a secluded corner and took out a mountain of supplies, including glutinous rice, flour, meat, oil, etc. There was a small black market in the town where you could buy anything as long as you had money. She was not worried about being suspected. He Jianjun compensated her with 900 yuan, so she said she bought them on the black market. There were too many things for Wan Chichi to move by herself, so she called a cart pusher and gave him 20 cents. The master was very attentive and sent her to the intersection. Song Hongli came with the wine dregs. He was a little surprised to see so many things, but he didn't ask anything and helped to carry the things onto the car. After arriving at Ruanjiawan, Song Hongli enthusiastically sent her to the entrance of the village and helped her carry them to the door of her house. Thank you, Brother Song. Wan Chichi cut a pound of meat and handed it over. Song Hongli picked up the meat and was happy. This girl from the Wan family is really nice. Sister, my boyfriend is coming over today. He likes to drink chicken soup. Wan Chichi took out a slaughtered chicken from the backpack, which she got from the space. Why is the chicken you bought slaughtered? Wan Shuangjiang was surprised. It was slaughtered cleanly. Even the hair was plucked. I paid for it. Wan Chichi vaguely passed it over. Wan Shuangjiang didn't think much about it and took the chicken to stew chicken soup. Sister, I picked a lot of ground vegetables. It can eat 2 meals. Wan Xiaoxue was yelling in the yard. After the rain stopped in the morning, she and her friends went to the mountains to look for mushrooms. They didn't find many mushrooms, but they found a lot of ground skin. She picked half a basket. ground skin vegetables, which grow on the ground after the rain. Wan Qiqi's eyes lit up. She hadn't eaten ground skin vegetables for a long time. This thing has extremely high requirements for the environment. In the future, the environment is seriously polluted and ground skin vegetables are becoming less and less, becoming a rare thing. Wan Xiaoxue changed her wet clothes and went to the river to wash the ground skin vegetables. This thing is delicious, but it is very troublesome to wash. You have to wash it dozens of times. After lunch, Wan Qiqi took a nap. When she woke up, it was 2 o'clock. The rich smell of chicken soup wafted from the kitchen. Wan Shuangjiang and Wan Xiaoxue were not at home. They went to work in the fields. Sisters Wan Yan and Wan Pan, the two of them, went out to play with their friends, and she was alone at home. Wan Qiqi stretched, got out of bed, tied her hair, washed her face with cold water, and went out to pick up her man. Calculating the time, Lu Yi should be here. Lu Yi is still 10 miles away from Ranjiawan. He has been here to perform missions before, and he has special skills, so there is no place he can't find. The car drove into Ranjiawan, and the people working in the farmland straightened up and stared at the jeep with wide eyes. Wow, it's the Army-S car. Lu Yi had already passed the farmland, but he drove back, parked the car, and jumped out of the car. His handsome and heroic figure, as well as his military uniform, dazzled the villagers, and their eyes turned very respectful when they looked at him. How high an official must one be to be able to afford a car? Excuse me, is this where Wan Qiqi's home? Lu Yi took out a pack of Xiaomei cigarettes from his pocket and gave one to the nearest villager. He was lucky because the man was the captain. The captain stretched out his hands, took it respectfully, and was reluctant to smoke, so he clamped it on his ear. Leader, Wan Qiqi is my niece. What do you want to see her for? The captain asked respectfully. He hadn't realized yet that Lu Yi was Wan Qiqi's boyfriend. Wan Qiqi is my fiancé. I'm here to marry her. Are you really her uncle? Lu Yi's eyes became sharp, and he looked the captain up and down, making his legs tremble. Really? Really? The captain's voice trembled. Wow, he is worthy of being the deputy battalion commander. His official power is so great that it's scary to look at him. Lu Yi sank his face, snatched the cigarette from the captain's ear, and said in a cold voice, "Are you the uncle who bullied Qiqi and wanted to rob her house? I warn you, Qiqi is my woman. If anyone dares to bully her again in the future, don't blame me for being rude." After saying that, he pretended to accidentally reveal the holster on his waist, and his eyes became even colder. Everyone was shocked. It was terrible. Wan Qiqi's target was so fierce. Don't mess with him. The captain was so scared that he started to tremble. This deputy battalion commander was so fierce, even more fierce than Director Ma. How could this crazy woman Wan Qiqi find such a fierce target? Leader, you're wrong. I'm Wan Qiqi's cousin. The one who robbed her house is her uncle. No, he's not her uncle. He was just labeled as a landlord's son. The captain explained incoherently. He was really unlucky. He wanted to take a break by the edge of the field, but he was seen by this plague god. Alas, you haven't bullied Qiqi? Lu Yi looked at him suspiciously. The captain's heart was beating, his legs were weak, and he shook his head with a stiff face. No, I have a good relationship with Qiqi. Lu Yi's cold face immediately became warm. He stuffed Xiaomei cigarettes into the captain's mouth, took out a lighter, and lit the cigarette himself. I'm so offended just now, cousin. Don't bother with me. Don't dare. I'll take the leader to Qiqi's house. The captain didn't dare to bother. He just wanted this evil god to take Wan Qiqi away quickly and return the peace to Ruanjiawan. No need. Lu Yi refused. He never needed anyone to lead the way. He jumped back into the car and drove into the village. He stopped at the entrance of the village. A group of children gathered around and looked at the car curiously. Wan Yan and Wan Pan were there too. The two sisters tilted their heads to look at Lu Yi. Wan Yan suddenly had an idea and asked loudly, "Are you the second uncle?" Lu Yi was stunned for a moment, then asked, "Which second aunt is your sister Qiqi?" "Her second aunt is sister Qiqi." A big child rushed to answer. Lu Yi was happy. patted the two sisters on the head gently, grinned and said, "Yes, I am your second uncle. Go home." He picked up Wan Pan. All the children were envious. They also wanted to have an officer uncle, but their aunt was not good enough and could not find such a powerful officer partner. "Second aunt, second uncle is here." Wan Yen shouted happily, and it was Wan Chi-Chi who was walking towards her. She was holding a peeled thorn moss in her hand and was about to put it into her mouth to chew when she saw Lu Yi grinning at her with his big, white teeth. After not seeing her for a few days, her man seemed to be more handsome. "Chi-Chi, I'm here." Lu Yi strode over, lowered his head and took the thorn moss from her hand, chewed it a few times and swallowed it. It had to be peeled by his wife, and it was much sweeter than what he peeled himself. "If you want to eat it, peel it yourself." Wan Chi-Chi rolled her eyes and went to pick another one to peel. There were many wild roses on the roadside, and they were particularly fat. "I'll peel it for you." Lu Yi also picked a root and peeled it skillfully to show his courtesy. Wan Chi-Chi chewed one root, and it tasted good. It was true that ready-made ones were delicious. "Peel a few more." Wan Chi-Chi gave him the thorn moss in her hand. It was more comfortable to eat ready-made ones. Lu Yi took it with a smile. He peeled one, and Wan Chi-Chi ate one. The two walked together, a talented man and a beautiful woman, a perfect match, attracting the attention of the whole village. "Chi-Chi, is your boyfriend here?" Someone asked loudly, looking at Lu Yi with awe. "Yes, he came to meet the family." Wan Chi-Chi nodded. "I'm Chi-Chi's son-in-law, so I'm here to meet the family first." Lu Yi added, and handed over the prickly moss he had peeled. The villagers were dumbfounded. The deputy battalion commander came to the countryside to be a son-in-law. Is this deputy battalion commander crazy? "Chi-Chi, is your boyfriend really here? Isn't he the deputy battalion commander?" Someone couldn't help asking. "I'm happy. My father is still the commander. He has no objection." Lu Yi choked. "He just loves to come. It's none of these people's business." Hiss. Everyone gasped. The commander's son actually came to their Ruanjiawan to be a son-in-law. What a strange thing. Is this commander crazy too? Lu Yi and Wan Chi-Chi walked away, and the villagers were talking about it like a pot of boiling water. Is he really the commander's son? Could it be fake? You dare not lie about such a thing? Whoever dares to pretend to be the commander's son will be shot. Is this commander's son blind? What is he like about Wan Chi-Chi? Is he crazy? Maybe he is crazy. That man doesn't look normal. Although the villagers were crickets behind his back, they were still jealous. Even if Lu Yi was crazy, he was the deputy battalion commander, and he had a father who was the commander. What virtue did Wan Chi-Chi have to be the commander's daughter-in-law? Oh, they were so angry. Wan Chi-Chi took Lu Yi back home, and Wan Xiaoxue also came back. She was restless, and went to the river to catch snails. Qingming snails are better than geese, and the snails in early April are the most delicious. "Xiaoxue, your brother-in-law." Wan Chi-Chi introduced them. "Hello, brother-in-law." Wan Xiaoxue called out quickly. Seeing Lu Ye's eyes full of admiration, she dreamed of becoming a soldier. "Here." Lu Yi took out a red envelope from his pocket and stuffed it into her hand. He had specifically asked the veteran about this, and he had to give a red envelope when he first met someone. "Thank you, brother-in-law." Wan Xiaoxue happily accepted it. The calls of brother-in-law became sweeter and sweeter, which made Lu Yi crazy. He generously gave red envelopes to Wan Yen and Wan Pan. Then, he received the call of second uncle again and again. Wan Shuangjiang had a very good impression of him. He was handsome, kind to the second sister, and willing to come to the house. The second sister was really blessed to meet such a good man. "Brother-in-law, have a bowl of chicken soup. Chi-Chi said you like it, so I bought a chicken for you." Wan Shuangjiang poured out a bowl of golden chicken soup and handed it over, and pointed out that it was Wan Chi-Chi who bought the chicken. Lu Yi was running so fast that his ears were almost covered with sweat. His heart was sweeter than eating honey. He was not afraid of the heat and finished a bowl of soup in a few mouthfuls. The freshness touched his heart. "I'll cook snails." Wan Xiaoxue put the snails she found into the pot and cooked them. After they were cooked, she poured them out and picked out the snail meat with a needle. After cleaning, she fried it with chili peppers. It was especially good with rice. It was still a little early for dinner, so Wan Qiqi accompanied Lu Yi to the mountains. The mountains were especially beautiful in spring, with peach and plum blossoms competing for beauty, pear blossoms like snow, and all kinds of wildflowers, colorful and especially beautiful. Lu Yi bent down, picked 2 astragalus flowers, pinned them on Wan Qiqi's braids, and then looked at them carefully and praised, "It's really beautiful." Astragalus, which is more beautiful, the flowers or the person? Wan Qiqi asked deliberately. The flowers are beautiful, and the person is even more beautiful. Lu Yi was very sensible and gave a perfect answer. Wan Qiqi smiled and decided to reward him. She looked around and saw no one, so she stood on tiptoes, hooked her arms around his neck, and kissed him. But before she could kiss him, she was lifted up. Lu Yi held her against the tree and kissed her fiercely. He was almost dying of greed. I don't know how long they kissed. The two separated panting, finally satisfied. "My stepfather has approved the marriage report. We will go to get the certificate tomorrow," Lu Yi said proudly. The old man refused to sign, so he asked Mo Qiufeng to sign. After he got the certificate, he took it back to anger the old man. "Okay, let's have a few more tables of wine and announce to the whole commune that you are my son-in-law." Wan Qiqi also wanted to get the certificate quickly. She had a bubble in her mouth and urgently needed to balance the yin and yang to reduce the fire. The two decided on the important things in life and continued to go up the mountain. There were many wild fruits on the mountain, but many of them were not ripe yet and could only be eaten in summer. Lu Yi picked a bunch of red fruits and said with a smile, "This is delicious when ripe. I ate this when I was hungry when I was a kid." Wan Qiqi glanced at it and didn't take it seriously, but after walking a few steps, she suddenly stopped and stared at the wild fruit in Lu Ye's hand seriously, and her expression gradually became serious. "Did you often eat this fruit when you were a kid?" Wan Qiqi asked. "I ate a lot. What's wrong?" Lu Yi noticed her abnormality and asked with a smile. "You didn't have any reaction after eating it?" Wan Qiqi frowned slightly. "This fruit is called ma sangua, which looks a bit like mulberry. It is a traditional Chinese medicine. Some people also use it to make wine, but eating the fruit raw is poisonous and can even be fatal." Lu Yi ate so much, but he was fine. "I felt a little dizzy and a little breathless at first, but I was fine later." "Don't worry, it's not poisonous. I ate so much, and I was fine," Lu Yi assured with a smile. He had been looking for wild fruits in the mountains since he was a child. He was very familiar with wild fruits and knew whether they were poisonous or not. Wan Qiqi frowned even more. She was sure she remembered correctly that the mulberry fruit was indeed poisonous. In her previous life, information was well developed. Although she lived in a mental hospital, she knew a lot from her mobile phone. Once she read a report saying that 2 children accidentally ate mulberry fruit and almost died. The news also specially put a picture of mulberry fruit, which was exactly the same as the one in Lu Ye's hand. Wan Qiqi couldn't figure it out. Could it be that Lu Yi was a congenital holy body that was immune to all poisons? The two continued to walk up the mountain. Lu Yi caught 2 fat rabbits and a pheasant by the way. On the edge of the cliff at the top of the mountain, there grew a huge wild tea tree with tender leaves all over the branches. Wan Qiqi took Lu Yi to pick tea. The wild tea was particularly fragrant. She also found a tender bud, went into the space, and went back to plant it in the open space. "Sister, can you give me some spiritual energy? I'll give you Ganoderma lucidum." The old tea tree's voice was very ancient. You could tell it was very old at first glance, older than the old camphor tree and old ginkgo tree in Tanzhou City. "Okay." Wan Qiqi readily agreed and passed some spiritual energy to it. Now there is a lot more spiritual energy in her body. She can feel it, as if there is a spiritual energy pool in her body, which was shallow at the beginning, but now it is a little deeper. The old tea tree that absorbed the spiritual energy instantly became more energetic. It shook its branches, revealing several Ganoderma lucidum hidden in the roots. Wan Qiqi dug out the soil, put it in the backpack, and moved it into the space. Lu Yi glanced at her and didn't ask anything. He just felt two energy fluctuations and was not surprised. He had known that Chi-Chi was of the same kind. Sister, is this guy your man? There is a lot of poison in his body. He is so lucky that he didn't die with so many poisons.
Hey.
Your man is not a human. The old tea tree was also a chatterbox. He chatted with Ruan Chi-Chi and told her about his discovery. He is not a human?
Could it be a monster?
Ruan Chi-Chi instantly became interested, and his mind was opened. Could it be that Lu Yi really died at a very young age and was possessed by a monster? No, let me take a closer look. The old tea tree was confused. This boy looked like both a human and a dragon. Could he be a hybrid of a dragon and a human? That's right, that's it. Sister, your man is half human and half dragon. He is a hybrid. So, my man is a hybrid? Ruan Chi-Chi blinked, a little unconvinced. Lu Yi was obviously born to Yuan Huilan and Lu Dishing. How could he be born to a human and a dragon?
Sister, you don't understand.
Your man has dragon blood in his body. That's amazing. He is very powerful, the old tea tree said in a very respectful tone. Even if Lu Yi was only half dragon, he was still the object of its envy and jealousy. What should I do with the poison in my man's body? Will he be in trouble? Ruan Chi-Chi was not very interested in whether he was a dragon or not. No matter whether Lu Yi was a dragon or a human, he was her son-in-law and had to listen to her. She was more worried about the poison in Lu Ye's body. She hoped that it would not accumulate to a certain level and cause an attack. She did not want to be a widow at all. It's okay. Your man has half dragon veins. Those poisons will not kill him. At most, he will go crazy. But the spiritual energy in your body can help him clear the blockage, said the old tea tree. How do you clear it? Ruan Chi-Chi asked humbly. Just take a few more naps. The old tea tree's answer was simple and rough, which was exactly what Ruan Chi-Chi wanted, and she was completely relieved. After getting the certificate, she and Lu Yi had adult love 8 times a night, and the arsenic could be completely removed. But she also understood why Lu Yi went crazy in his previous life. In addition to the head injury, there were also toxins in his body. In the final analysis, it was all the fault of Lu Dishing and Yuan Huilan. After she and Lu Yi returned to Tanzhou City, they would find fault with these two people every now and then, and they would not have an easy life. After the two of them picked the young leaves of the tea tree weigh about 10 pounds, which can be fried into 2 pounds of dry tea. When they returned home, Wan Shuangjiang had already prepared dinner and set a large table full of it. In the past, they used to use a small table for dinner, but today Wan Shuangjiang brought out the 8 Immortals table to show her appreciation for Lu Yi. There were spicy fried snail meat, fried eggs with ground vegetables, snowflake meatballs, lettuce fried with bacon, spicy fried dried loach, a large pot of chicken soup, and a large plate of mugwort cakes, which were more abundant than the dishes of the Ruan family during the New Year. Mugwort Cake's brother-in-law. Did you catch them? Ruan Xiaoxue was delighted to see the hares and pheasants. I just caught them. Lu Yi said lightly. Catching such small things was too easy for him. He had fought with the Wolf King before, and he won, and the Wolf King became his lackey. Brother-in-law, you're so awesome. Ruan Xiaoxue's eyes became even more admiring, and she even thanked He Jianjun now. If that rascal hadn't broken off the engagement, the second sister would never have had the chance to meet her brother-in-law. It's okay, I'll catch a wild boar for you tomorrow. Lu Ye's tail was almost up to the sky. He just liked to be praised. In Wan Xiaoxue's flattery, he gradually lost himself and promised 18 wild boars, and the wild boars in the back mountain of Ruanjiawan added up to less than 18. Lu Yi was very supportive of Wan Shuangjiang's cooking skills. After finishing all the food, Wan Shuangjiang had a very good impression of him. She had no objection to them getting the marriage certificate tomorrow, and said that she would take care of the banquet. Late at night, Lu Yi left Ruan's house and drove to Bailey Village. He easily found Li Lao's house from the village pond, climbed over the wall, sneaked into the house, knocked Li Lao unconscious, and carried him to the mountain. The mountain was not quiet. Strange noises were heard from time to time, and there were all kinds of distorted shadows in the moonlight, which were particularly eerie and terrifying. Lu Yi threw the man to the ground and kicked him awake. Li Lao's eyes were blank at first, but soon turned fierce. He stood up and rushed towards Lu Yi, with a dagger in his hand. Although he was over 50, Li Lao was very agile and could be seen as a martial artist. Unfortunately, he ran into Lu Yi and was subdued in a few moves. Lu Yi was too lazy to talk nonsense and directly poured him a large glass of mountain spring water. The water began to circulate in his body and flowed through every cell of his body. Li Lao didn't understand what Lu Yi was going to do. He stared at him vigilantly with a particularly fierce look in his eyes. Lu Yi put his hand on him, and soon, Li Lao felt a sharp pain in his body, as if countless needles were piercing him. The pain became more and more intense, increasing little by little. Li Lao could still bear it at first, but later, he really couldn't bear it anymore and rolled on the ground. He couldn't scream because Lu Yi had taken his jaw off. "Tell me, who is the superior who contacted you? Who are your two accomplices? What is your mission in lurking here?" Lu Yi asked 3 questions, certain that Li Lao would confess. Because no one could withstand his unique punishment. He mobilized all the water molecules in Li Lao's body, and these gentle waters turned into sharp blades, piercing every cell in Li Lao's body. This kind of pain is several times more painful than giving birth, and almost no one can stand it. Li Lao rolled over in pain. He thought he could endure it, but he overestimated himself. This young man did not know what method he used. Now he felt like being pierced by thousands of arrows, and there was no place that did not hurt. He simply could not bear it. He wanted to confess. Those people had not given him money for more than 10 years, and he did not need to keep secrets for these people. But he could not make a sound, and his jaw was still closed. Li Lao's eyeballs were about to burst in pain, and the sweat on his body was like rain, soaking all his clothes. He tried to raise his head and looked at Lu Yi pleadingly. "Forgot. Wait a minute." Lu Yi slapped his forehead, walked over, raised his leg, and kicked him in the chin. With a click, the jaw closed. At the moment when Li Lao screamed like a pig being slaughtered, Lu Yi moved as fast as lightning and slapped him on the body. Li Lao found that the severe pain in his body miraculously disappeared, and his body was safe and sound. If it weren't for his wet clothes, he would have suspected that he had just had a nightmare. The look in his eyes when he looked at Lu Yi became even more frightened. He knew very well that in the hands of this young man, he was as small as an ant and had no power to resist at all. "Those people haven't come to me for a long time. They only let me send 3 telegrams, saying that they would give me 50 yuan for each time. I paid the first 2 times, and I still owed the money for the 3rd time. In a fit of rage, I buried the telegraph machine." Li Lao didn't know that the radio he buried in the morgue had magically appeared in the He family's woodshed. He confessed everything he knew without hiding anything, including the 2 accomplices who often came to find him in the middle of the night. One was surnamed Yang, and the other was surnamed Peng. They were from the same village, and were brothers who had been bandits with Li Lao. That man came to the mountain to find the boss, hoping that the boss would support him. As a result, within 2 months, the People's Liberation Army arrived, and the boss was arrested and shot. Yang Laosi, Peng Lauer, and I took advantage of the chaos to run down the mountain and return to our hometown to farm. But a few days later, the man came to our door again and asked us to help him send a telegram. I didn't agree at first, so he threatened me with the fact that I was a bandit, so I had no choice but to agree. Li Lao confessed everything. He looked wilted and ashen. He knew that he was doomed and would certainly be shot. Lu Yi asked a few more questions, and Li Lao answered cooperatively, but he didn't know much. He didn't even know the name of the person who sent him a telegram. He only knew that he worked in the county, but he didn't know which unit he worked in. However, Li Lao gave an important clue. Yang Laosi is familiar with that person. It was Yang Laosi who led the person to my house. Lu Yi asked some more questions and slapped Li Lao, who fainted. He carried the person down the mountain and stuffed him into the car. He first arrested Yang Laosi and Peng Lauer and then drove to the Armed Forces Department in the county. There was someone on duty at the Armed Forces Department, and Louis showed his credentials and borrowed the site of the Armed Forces Department. Comrade Liu, I've heard of your name for a long time. The head of the Armed Forces Department got up from the bed and hurried over, without even washing his face. He had indeed heard of Liu Ye's name for a long time, but it was a bad name. Liu Ye's glorious deeds could not be described for 3 days and 3 nights. The most famous thing was that he never failed in carrying out a mission. No matter how difficult the task was, as long as it was given to Liu Yi, he would definitely complete it. Liu Yi was also famous for his crazy temper. He would get crazy when he said he would, even when facing his leaders, and he would not leave any face. How dare he neglect such a notorious person? Liu Yi did not talk to him politely. He had to hurry up and finish the matter so as not to delay him and Chi-Chi from getting the marriage certificate tomorrow. The Armed Forces Department arranged a place to hold the prisoners and sent several people to help. Liu Yi used his unique method to interrogate Yang Laosi and learned a lot of information. This small county town actually had at least 5 spies lurking, scattered in various units. 10 years ago, their activities were still frequent, but in recent years, there has been basically no movement. After not sending money for many years, they are a little discouraged and decided to retire and become ordinary people. Yang Laosi looked self-deprecating. He had been living in fear these years, always worried that the past events would be dug up, and he had not slept well. It was better to be caught, even if he would be shot tomorrow. At least he could sleep well tonight. The 3 confessed everything they knew, and Liu Yi could not get any information out of them, so he locked them up in the Armed Forces Department. He took several people from the Armed Forces Department to catch the hidden spies. It was late at night, and the streets were quiet. The common people were sleeping peacefully, unaware that there was a turmoil in the county and an uproar. At daybreak, all 6 spies in the county were caught. Not one was missing. Liu Yi was still energetic, and the assistants who followed him to catch people all had red eyes and were listless. They caught people non-stop all night and didn't even have time to breathe. They admired Liu Ye's energy so much. No wonder he could make so many contributions. He was so energetic that he could fight Sun Wukong. Comrade Liu, what should we do with these 9 spies? The head of the Armed Forces Department was so excited that his heart was about to jump out. He had been in charge of the Armed Forces Department for 5 years, but this was the first time he participated in such a wonderful arrest operation, and the first time he caught so many spies. Oh my God, he has made meritorious service, right? Can he be promoted next year? I'll keep him here first. Liu Yi was anxious and went to make a phone call before dawn. His immediate superior, Director Mu, was still dreaming in the warm bed and was awakened by the urgent ringing of the phone. Director Mu shuddered and woke up immediately. He jumped out of bed and answered the phone without even putting on his clothes. Caught 9 people. At least you should have a second-class merit, right? Together with the second-class merit last time, promote me to Deputy Regiment Commander as a wedding present. Liu Ye's lazy voice came through the microphone, and Director Mu was so angry that she laughed. He had led so many people, but this was the first time he had seen someone like Liu Yi. He was highly capable, but had a bad temper, was thick-skinned, acted crazy, had no respect for elders, and had little respect for his leader, but Director Mu was still very pleased that Liu Yi was much more polite to him than to Liu Dixing. I'll promote you to Battalion Commander. The Deputy Regiment Commander is too big a leap. Director Mu was originally planning to promote him. With Liu Ye's outstanding contributions, he would be more than qualified to be the regiment commander. But Liu Yi was too young and crazy. His temperament was not suitable for management, and Director Mu wanted to temper his temper again. No, I don't like to be in charge. I'll just be the Deputy Regiment Commander. If you don't give it to me, I'll go to the Northwest. They've called me several times over there, and they were very sincere. They said I started as a Deputy Regiment Commander in the past. The Northwest Military Region did extend an olive branch to him several times, but he couldn't get used to the food in the Northwest, and there was a water shortage in the Northwest. He didn't like places with a water shortage, so he refused. I'm about to get married, And as a leader, shouldn't you show some appreciation? Comrade Laomu, don't learn to be so inhumane as my father. Not getting a response from Director Mu, Lu Yi didn't even call her the director, and his voice became colder. If Director Mu disagrees, he has plenty of ways to deal with her, such as making it impossible for Director Mu to urinate. After all, is also water. As long as he gives an order, Director Mu will not dare to urinate in her body. Otherwise, she will suffocate to death. Okay, I'll let you be the deputy head of the regiment. I'll give the notice next month. Director Mu was so confused by his nagging that he was really scared of this rascal and couldn't bear to let him go. If Northwest really let him take him away, he would be laughed at by his colleagues. Military regions across the country are watching Lu Yi, this golden nugget, like a wolf. This kid is a little crazy, but he is very capable. He can complete a task that others can't complete in a month in just 3 days. Even if such a precious nugget goes crazy, what can he do? He can only bear it. Okay, send someone to pick up these spies. I'm going to have my wedding night tomorrow, and I don't have time to send them off. Lu Yi was satisfied. The deputy regiment commander was barely worthy of his daughter. Does your father know? Director Mu began to feel confused again. He didn't need to ask to know that Lu Dishing definitely didn't know. This father and son were really the grievances of their previous lives. I know, Director Mu. Prepare the red envelopes. Don't make them too small. Lu Yi asked for a red envelope. It was a rare opportunity for him to get married, so he must earn enough red envelopes. Don't worry, it won't be small. Bring your relatives to my place for dinner next time. Director Mu smiled. She was still very happy for Lu Yi. This kid finally found a like-minded partner and would not be lonely anymore. Lu Yi grinned and hung up the phone. He found a place in the Armed Forces Department to take a nap for 3 hours. When it was dawn, the people sent by Director Mu arrived and took away Li Laowu and his group of 9 people. The death penalty was definitely waiting for them. After handing over with these people, Lu Yi drove back to Wanjiabei. Wan Shuangjiang and Wan Xiaoxue were up and preparing breakfast, but Wan Qiqi was still sleeping. Brother-in-law is back, and the rice noodles are almost ready. Wan Shuangjiang didn't ask him what he did all night. She knew that her brother-in-law was doing something big, so there was no need to ask. Lu Yi took a cold shower and changed into a brand new military uniform. He brought it specially just to wear it when he got the certificate. There was a big bowl of steaming rice noodles on the table. Wan Shuangjiang cooked dry rice noodles, which were chewier than wet rice noodles. She fried 5 eggs and chopped sour beans into small pieces, fried them with chili powder, and poured them on the rice noodles. It looked good and tasted good. If it's not enough, put more in the pot. I cooked a lot. Wan Shuangjiang brought up another plate of mugwort cakes. The mugwort on the mountain was particularly tender during the Qingming festival, and the locals loved to make mugwort cakes. Thank you, sister. Lu Yi smiled and was very respectful to Wan Shuangjiang. After he finished a big bowl of rice noodles and 3 mugwort cakes, his whole body was warm. Wan Qiqi also got up, washed up, ate a bowl of rice noodles, and went to the commune with Lu Yi to get the certificate. Xiaoxue, has the person who makes glutinous rice cakes been called? When leaving, Wan Qiqi was still thinking about glutinous rice cakes. She had to bake glutinous rice cakes every day these days. 3 blisters appeared in her mouth, but she still couldn't control herself. Baked glutinous rice cakes stuffed with brown sugar or with moldy tofu are super delicious. If they are called, they will be here in a while. Junjie and his cousin will come too. Wan Xiaoxue smiled. She had called someone yesterday and asked them to come to her house at 9 in the morning to make glutinous rice cakes. Wan Qiqi was relieved and dragged Lu Yi away. Hurry up and get the certificate, and then we'll come back to make glutinous rice cakes. I tell you, freshly made glutinous rice cakes are especially delicious. You will definitely like them. As Wan Qiqi spoke, her mouth was full of saliva, and it was flooded. Lu Yi also swallowed a few times. He had never eaten glutinous rice cakes, but it sounded delicious. The 2 of them quickened their pace at the same time and stopped the car at the entrance of the village. On the way, they met many villagers who were going to work, and they all greeted them enthusiastically. Chi-Chi, where are you going? To get the certificate. There will be a wedding banquet at home in 3 days. Remember to come and eat. Wan Chi-Chi announced the good news generously. Everyone was dumbfounded and stunned. When they reacted, the two had already driven away. Is this deputy battalion commander really coming to the door? It's strange. This is the first time I see the deputy battalion commander come to my house. What does he want from Wan Chi-Chi? Because she is pretty. Wan Chi-Chi is the prettiest in our village. Wan Chi-Chi is really lucky to have lost sesame seeds and picked up watermelons. She is so blessed. The villagers were talking about it with envy and jealousy. Half a month ago, they were still pitying Wan Chi-Chi for being broken off from engagement and said that she couldn't even marry a widower whose cousin had died. Now they just wanted to pity themselves. Wan Chi-Chi would soon go to the city to be an official's wife and enjoy a good life, while they were still working like slaves in the countryside.
Alas.
When would these hard days end? Wan Chi-Chi, who was envied and jealous by them, had already arrived at the commune. She and Lu Yi found the department to register their marriage and took out their household registration booklet and letter of introduction. Nowadays, marriage certificates don't require photos, which is quite convenient. But you need to recite quotations. The world is yours as well as ours, but in the final analysis, it is yours. You young people are full of vigor and vitality and are in your prime, like the sun at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Hope rests on you. The world belongs to you, and the future of China belongs to you. Wan Chi-Chi fluently recited a long passage from the quotations, and Lu Yi followed suit. Both of them recited it very well, without even pausing. The staff looked at them with admiration, and since Lu Yi was in military uniform, they did not dare to look down on him and spoke politely. Bang bang bang, the staff stamped the official seal neatly, handed them 2 marriage certificates, and said, "Congratulations on becoming revolutionary partners, and I hope you can supervise each other, make progress together, and make your own contributions to socialist construction." Thank you, leader. We will definitely study the quotations well and strive for progress. Wan Chi-Chi took the marriage certificate with both hands. Her expression and tone were very solemn, as if she was swearing an oath, expressing her determination to make progress. The two left the office with their freshly made marriage certificate and stood on the street. They looked at each other and smiled. Marriage certificate from the 1970s going back to Ruanjiawan? Lu Yi was a little conflicted. He wanted to eat glutinous rice cake, but he also wanted to be alone with Chi-Chi. Today was their wedding day. Do you want to eat glutinous rice cake or do you want to eat?
Me?
Wan Chi-Chi asked softly in his ear. The hot steam she exhaled made his face red and his ears all red. Lu Yi's heart was about to jump out, thumping louder than a drum. All he could hear was the words, "Eat. Me." He was nervous, excited, and a little shy. Where to eat? Lu Yi's voice was very soft, his eyes sparkling. He didn't want to eat glutinous rice cake now. He only wanted to eat his Chi-Chi, which must be better than glutinous rice cake. Guest house, idiot. Wan Chi-Chi glared. There was a guest house in the town. They asked the guest house to open the best single room. The room was very clean, the bedding was washed very clean, and it smelled of soap. As soon as the door was closed, the two couldn't wait to hug each other. Lu Yi kissed her anxiously, but Wan Chi-Chi covered his mouth. You have blisters, let's cool down first. There were 3 blisters in his mouth, and kissing would definitely hurt, so cooling down was the top priority. How to cool it down? Lu Yi was a green boy with no experience in this area. Just take a few more sleeps, hurry up, don't waste time. Wan Chi-Chi was already burning with anger. She had been holding it in for 10 years, and now she could finally vent it. Lu Yi grinned, turned from passive to active, and fell on the bed with her in his arms. Soon the room was filled with spring scenery, and it was raining in Wushan. 5 hours later, Wan Chi-Chi lay lazily and powerlessly on the bed. The 3 bubbles in her mouth disappeared. The taste of was indeed wonderful. The ancients were not deceiving her. It was just like fish playing in the water, beautiful. But it was too tiring. In 5 hours, she and Lu Yi had adult love 4 times, and her waist was almost broken. Lu Yi still had the energy, but she couldn't take it. From now on, she would no longer be an author of novels about cricket bosses. There really were bosses who had adult love 8 times a night, and the author was not bragging. Chi-Chi, do you want to do it again? Lu Yi, who had tasted the sweetness of it, asked persistently and gave a particularly suitable reason. We pay to stay in the guest house. It's a big loss if we don't sleep. We can't waste it. Chi-Chi thought about it, and it made sense. This room cost $2, and it was a waste to sleep for only 5 hours. Come again. Chi-Chi gritted her teeth and jumped up. Soon the two of them were in a good mood again, and Wushan rain began to play again. Another hour passed. Finally, the clouds cleared and the rain stopped. Chi-Chi, who was smug, kicked him away mercilessly and said in a scumbag tone, "Sleep next time." Her waist would definitely break if she continued. Although the big meal was delicious, she couldn't eat enough at once. Gradually, the way to go was to eat. Lu Yi crawled over with a smile and hugged her in his arms, feeling very happy. The old soldier was right. A wife, children, and a warm bed are the life of a god. Lu Yi told her the good news of his promotion next month, and Chi-Chi immediately had a good idea. Wait until the paperwork comes down. Let's go home for dinner, tell your father and stepmother the good news, and ask for 2 more red envelopes, 1 for your marriage and 1 for your promotion. Lin Manyun cares most about her 2 sons. She wishes her own sons could trample Lu Yi under their feet. If she knew that Lu Yi had been promoted again, she would be furious. Okay, go back to my mother's house to ask for red envelopes. Lu Yi agreed very much. Now he has a family, he has to be thrifty in his life. If he can ask others for money, he will never spend money on his own. Anyway, the old man and his mother have high salaries. If he doesn't ask for money, it will be a bargain for others. That's right, we're being filial and spending money on your parents. Chi-Chi nodded vigorously. She felt more and more relaxed chatting with Lu Yi. The two of them were in perfect sync with each other. They lay down for another hour or so before checking out of the room. It was already dark outside. Chi-Chi felt a little regretful that she missed the hot glutinous rice cake, but one cannot have it all. It is not good to be too greedy. After enjoying the pleasure, it is not so important to eat glutinous rice cake or not. When they returned to Wanjiabei, it was already dark. Shuangjiang was cooking dinner. There were 3 large jars of glutinous rice cake in the main room, all of which were made today. Shuangjiang glanced at the two of them, smiled, and asked, "Would you like to eat sweet wine glutinous rice cake?" "Yes." Chi-Chi nodded. She hadn't eaten sweet wine glutinous rice cake for a long time. She was a little greedy. Besides, she was very hungry. She had been working for 6 hours straight. She was almost starving. She had to eat something good to replenish herself. Shuangjiang cooked 2 large bowls of rice cake, put eggs in it, and added a lot of sugar. It was mixed with the sweet fragrance and the aroma of wine, as well as the softness of the glutinous rice cake. It was very delicious. It could be used not only as a snack, but also as a staple food. It could also replenish qi and blood for women. When are you going to hold the banquet? Shuangjiang sat down and discussed the banquet with them. Within 3 days. Chi-Chi took a big sip of sweet wine and sighed with satisfaction. It was really delicious. Shuangjiang frowned slightly. It's a bit rushed. I don't have time to buy many things. Chi-Chi, how about doing it in a month? This way she would have time to buy things and make the banquet lively. What's missing? Chi-Chi didn't want to wait another month. A wedding was something that only needed to be held once. It was like completing a task. The sooner it was done, the easier it would be. Shuangjiang made a list, mainly meat. Although she could apply for meat coupons for marriage, there were not many. She wanted to prepare a few tables of decent banquets so that her second sister could get married in style. If she had enough time, she could find a way to get the meat. 3 days was too rushed, and there was no time at all. I'll get the meat tomorrow. Chi-Chi took care of all the meat. There was plenty of meat in her space. I'm going to the mountain to hunt a wild boar. Louis said as he was about to go up the mountain. No need. I can get it. Chi-Chi stopped him. It was not appropriate to let the groom go up the mountain to hunt wild boars on such a happy wedding day. After dinner, Lu Yi moved from the client's room to Wan Qiqi's room as a matter of course, and successfully merged the two beds into one. Although they had eaten 6 big meals during the day, the 2 bowls of sweet wine replenished their blood and made them full of energy. Besides, both of them were greedy. So, the charge horn sounded again at night, and they were trampled on the red waves and made love for 3 more rounds. The next morning, the 2 of them stayed in bed neatly. On the 3rd morning, they stayed in bed again, and their eye circles were a little blue. They fell into a deep sleep, and the sun shone in from the window lattice, shining on them, but it did not wake them up. "Sister, something happened to the Li family," Wan Xiaoxue shouted before she even entered the door. "Keep your voice down, your second sister and the others are still sleeping. What happened to the Li family?" Wan Shuangjiang sat in the yard in the sunshine to alter clothes. She altered several old clothes that Wan Qiqi took out and made them look like new clothes. Li Haoliang's family is wiped out. Not a single person is left.
They were all chopped to death.
Wan Xiaoxue lowered her voice and told the explosive news that had just been passed on with lingering fear.
Bang!
The scissors in Wan Shuangjiang's hand fell to the ground. The tip of the scissors hit the ground and splashed sparks. "Who chopped them?" Wan Shuangjiang asked in a low voice with an expression of disbelief.
How could they all die?
The county knew that Li Laowu was a bandit. He was arrested the night before yesterday. The police came to inform Li Laowu's family yesterday afternoon. In addition, the militia of Li Laowu's grandson was also withdrawn. There was also a granddaughter, who was a teacher in the town school, and was expelled from the school. The granddaughter and grandson were engaged. The wedding banquet was to be held in the second half of the year and the beginning of next spring. Both in-laws broke off the engagement. The granddaughter jumped into the river out of frustration and could not be rescued. Li Laowu's son ran to chop the Li family to death. Wan Xiaoxue heard it from Bai Huanqi. The tragedy happened at 9:30 in the morning. Bai Huanqi immediately ran over to tell her the good news, and she immediately went home and told her elder sister. The village of Bailey didn't know that Li Laowu was a spy. Even the commune didn't know. They just thought he was arrested because he had been a bandit. Because of this, Li Laowu's son hated Li Haoliang's mother so much that he wiped out the Li family on impulse. Fortunately, you and Li Haoliang are divorced, and you brought Nian Nian and Pan Pan here otherwise. Wan Xiaoxue didn't say the rest, but the meaning was very clear. If they hadn't divorced, Wan Shuangjiang and her 2 daughters would probably have become innocent souls under the knife. Is there anyone left in the Li family? No children? Wan Shuangjiang was asking about Li Haoliang's nephew, who is also the most precious grandson of the Li family elders and was only 3 years old. Gone, not a single one is left. Even the chickens, ducks, and pigs were chopped to death. Wan Xiaoxue's tone was a bit gloating. She didn't sympathize with the Li family at all. In the past, these people bullied her eldest sister and niece a lot. Even a 3-year-old child dared to bully others by relying on the power of adults. She felt happy about the tragic death of the Li family. If it wasn't inappropriate, she wanted to thank Li Laowu's son in person. Wan Qiqi heard everything in the room. She didn't expect that Li Laowu would have such a big reaction after being arrested. It was a good chopping, and it saved her from having to do it. She didn't expect that the continuous reaction to this incident was not limited to this one. Yang Weijie was also arrested for espionage because Yang Laoxi is his 4th uncle, and he has helped Yang Laoxi deliver intelligence several times. The news of Yang Weijie's arrest was brought by Song Junjie. He had just heard that Li Haoliang's family was wiped out in the morning, and in the afternoon Song Junjie brought his parents to propose marriage. A package of tangerine cakes, a package of steamed buns, and 2 bottles of white wine. This is very grand in the countryside, and it also shows that Song Junjie's parents value Wan Xiaoxue. When the Song family came, Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi had just finished lunch. They got up late, didn't eat breakfast, and didn't eat lunch until 2 o'clock. Wan Shuangjiang also tactfully advised them a few words, which was nothing more than that young people should also pay attention to their health and not be too indulgent. Sister, Lu Yi is a diamond stick, he can't be worn out. Wan Qiqi swallowed the food in her mouth and said it very seriously. Her man is a dragon fetus, so 8 times a night is nothing, even 18 times is no problem. But she is a mortal and can't handle 18 times. 8 times is enough for her. After only 3 days of sleep, she felt dizzy and had a heavy head. She went back to the space to find some Luwei Dihuang pills to replenish her body. That's right. Lui actually did not understand, as he was still an innocent elementary school kid, but he knew that he had to flatter his wife when she spoke, so he immediately replied. Ruan Shuangjiang's face turned red with embarrassment, and she was both angry and amused. She tapped Ruan Qiqi on the head and said angrily, "You say whatever you want, and you are not afraid of shame. I'm married. What is there to be ashamed of?" Ruan Qiqi disagreed. She was married, and she could say anything. It was just like the women in Ruanjiawan, who had very precious bodies when they were girls and could not even show their elbows. But once they got married and had children, they could act like children in front of men, and no one thought it was wrong. For women, marriage seems to be a dividing line, with dignity and shyness on the left and vulgarity and openness on the right. It's the same person, but marriage divides them into 2 completely opposite halves. Okay, you're right. Wan Shuangjiang didn't mention it again. Her second sister was now very capable and had her own opinions, so she didn't need to say more. The Song family came to visit at this time. Song Junjia's parents looked like smart people, but they were not difficult to deal with. Wan Qiqi talked to them for a while and got to know them almost everything. Song Junjia's parents were very polite, even a little humble, because they heard from their son that Wan Xiaoshua's second sister had found a boyfriend who was a deputy battalion commander. They had never seen such a high-ranking official in their lives. Their calves were trembling, their buttocks slipped down several times, and they were very panicked. Wan Qiqi took full charge and arranged Wan Xiaoshua's marriage. After discussing the marriage, Song's father and mother were in a good mood and relaxed a lot. They started chatting with Ruan Qiqi and mentioned Yang Weijia. He was also unlucky. When he was a teenager, he was ignorant and helped his 4th uncle deliver letters to the city. Who knew it would be fatal information? Yang Laosi, this unlucky ghost, harmed others and himself. Mother Song's tone was a little sympathetic to Yang Weijia. How can a teenager not know things? You can figure it out with your ace, sending a letter for $1. What kind of letter is so precious? Yang Weijia must have guessed it a long time ago and pretended not to know, hoping to earn that dollar. Song's father is indeed the accountant of the brigade. His knowledge is higher than that of ordinary people. He saw through the essence of the matter at a glance and felt that Yang Weijia was not wronged at all. If it were his Junjia, he would definitely not be greedy for this little advantage. Yang Weijia's parents only gave birth to him, but did not raise him. None of the 5 sons had a promising future. Humph, sons are not about quantity but quality. It's not like raising pigs, winning by quantity. Although he only has 1 son, he has carefully cultivated his son, and his son is stronger than the 5 sons of the Yang family combined. Song's father disliked the Yang family very much, because the Yang family gave birth to 5 strong sons, while he and his wife only gave birth to a weak and sickly son, and the number was far less than that of the Yang family. Yang Weijia's father always ran to him to show off and said some infuriating words. He had been holding back his anger for more than 10 years, and he finally vented it today. If Yang Weijia was shot, he would be even happier. Song Junjia and his family had dinner at Ruan's house. Ruan Shuangjiang prepared a large and sumptuous table. During the meal, Lu Yi also said that he would let Song Junjia go to the army. My daughter Xiaoxue will go to the army in the second half of the year, and Junjia has to follow the husband's lead. This is our family tradition. What do you think, Junjia? Lu Yi's tone of voice was very natural when he said that the wife should follow the husband's lead. He adapted very well to the identity of a live-in son-in-law. Song's mother's expression froze. She didn't like the saying that the wife should follow the husband's lead, as it made her son seem like a live-in son-in-law. However, she only dared to be dissatisfied in her heart and didn't dare to show it on her face, for fear that Lu Yi would be angry. Song's father was very understanding and said with a smile, I originally planned to let Junjie join the army, but Junjie didn't want to be separated from Xiaoxue. Since Xiaoxue is also going to join the army, that's great. In the future, the couple will definitely make progress together under the supervision of Comrade Liu. We are family, so you don't have to be polite. Lu Yi understood what Song's father meant, but did not refuse. There is nothing wrong with taking care of one's family, not to mention that they are Qiqi's sister and brother-in-law. The next day, Wan Qiqi and Lu Ye's wedding banquet was held in a lively manner. 15 tables were set up. Ma Chunxing from the commune and the head of the armed forces department all came to the banquet. There were 8 dishes on each table, which were very delicious. Chicken, duck, fish, and meat were all available, all of which were taken out by Wan Qiqi from the space. In the past, every time Wan Jiawan held a wedding banquet, the guests would definitely make noise, but today everyone was particularly quiet, eating in silence, and no one even whispered. With the leaders at the banquet, they did not dare to be presumptuous. Besides, they were afraid of Lu Yi and Wan Qiqi and did not dare to make noise. Lu Yi and Wan Qiqi toasted a circle of people, and as a son-in-law, he went on stage to give his wedding speech. From now on, I am a member of the Wan family. As a member of the Wan family, I have a few words to say to everyone. Lu Yi paused, and the guests were stunned for a few seconds, then they reacted and clapped vigorously. The tide of applause pleased Lu Yi, and he smiled with satisfaction and continued to speak. How did you bully Qiqi and her sisters in the past? I am a magnanimous person and will let bygones be bygones, but if anyone dares to bully them again in the future, as a live-in son-in-law, I will definitely not be polite. Lu Yi glanced around with a cold look and paused for a few seconds intentionally or unintentionally on the few people who had bullied Wan Qiqi and her sisters in the past. Several people shrank their heads as hard as they could, wishing they could get into their crotches. The few seconds when Lu Yi was staring at them felt like years to them, and they wished time could go back. They would definitely care for and take care of Wan Qiqi and her sisters like a loving mother. No one spoke, which means you agreed. Thank you, everyone. Lu Yi unilaterally declared the contract established, and no one dared to object, so they had to bear it silently. After the wedding banquet, Wan Qiqi and Lu Mo stayed at home for another 2 days, preparing to return to Tanzhou City. On the first night back in the city, Wan Qiqi was busy all night, delivering notes to 2/3 of the families. She picked families with literacy at home and put the notes in the most conspicuous places so that anyone with eyes could see them. The next morning, Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi were ready to set off. Wan Shuangjiang prepared a lot of glutinous rice cakes, dried vegetables and pickles for them, as well as a large bottle of chili sauce, which was made by Wan Shuangjiang herself and was particularly fragrant. After they ate the sumptuous breakfast prepared by Wan Shuangjiang, they were about to leave. Wan Shuangjiang and Wan Xiaoxue reluctantly sent them to the entrance of the village, their eyes red. Write to me if you want to eat anything, and I'll send it to you. Wan Shuangjiang instructed earnestly. I know, go back. I'll come back when I'm free. Wan Qiqi was actually reluctant to let go of Wan Shuangjiang's good cooking skills. She would think of a way to get Wan Shuangjiang to work in Tanzhou City in the future, so as not to let her stomach suffer. Wan Songsho, you rascal! You even dare to cuckold me. I'm going to kill you. Zhang Hongxia, you witch. I must have been blind to be friends with a witch like you. What did you say about me behind my back? I treated you as a friend, but you stabbed me in the back. I'm going to kill you. 2 earth-shaking curses floated over, and then several more floated over, all of which were particularly dirty, and they even got physical. It was 7:30 in the morning, and the villagers had basically had breakfast and were ready to go to work. The 2 curses resounded through the sky, and the whole village heard them. The villagers who were preparing to go to work immediately became energetic, but also very entangled. Should they go to Wan Songsho's house to stop the fight? Or go to watch Zhang Hongxia's fun? The villagers wished they could split themselves in half to stop the fight, and half to watch the fun. But they didn't hesitate for too long. because several more noisy curses rang out, and they were all particularly dirty. He Baogua, you son of a witch, I treat you as a brother and you want to be my dad. Third brother, you are not a human being. You were the one who ate that egg, but my parents insisted that I ate it and I got a bad beating. Now you are pretending to comfort me. I will kill you. Mom, open your eyes and take a look. It was me who stole your money, not me. You have wronged me for 30 years. Come out and slap me. You Wan Jiangwo, you were the hooligan who peeked at my cousin going to the toilet. I hate you. The curses came one after another, and the village was more lively than a vegetable market. The villagers who found the note were either angry or indignant at having their injustices redressed. Their anger levels reached the peak. Ruanjiawan is located in the middle of Hunan and has a tradition of practicing martial arts. Almost all the men, women, and children in the village have practiced a few moves. They are very tough and will never talk nonsense if they can take action. They are brave in their bones. A few minutes later, more than a dozen men and women rushed out of the house with red eyes, holding things in their hands, hoes, shoulder poles, hatchets, etc., all of which can take lives, and went to their enemies' homes murderously. Soon there were crackling sounds of fighting, as well as screams and howls, and foul language and abuse, which were more beautiful than a symphony. Lui had already started the car. When he heard the noise, he decisively turned off the engine, jumped out of the car, and dragged Ruan Chichi to watch the excitement. With such a big noise, it must be a big show. Let's go and see. Lui had sufficient reasons. It didn't matter if he returned to Tanzhou early or late, but if he missed the excitement, he would regret it for a long time. Let's go. Ruan Chichi had been itching to go. This big show was directed by her, and she had to go to witness it. Otherwise, she would regret it for the rest of her life. As soon as the two walked into the village, a kitchen knife whizzed over and almost hit Lui in the face. He hugged Ruan Chichi and turned flexibly to avoid the kitchen knife. Bang! The kitchen knife, with a sharp murderous aura, pierced into the locust tree behind them and stabbed at least an inch deep. Ruan Songzho, I'm going to chop you to death. A heart-wrenching cry floated out, and there was a panicked voice of a man. What's wrong with you so early in the morning? I didn't sleep with your cousin. I have my own cousin. My cousin is better looking than yours. Do I need to sleep with your ugly cousin? The man who chopped people hesitated, as if what he said made sense. His concubine was indeed not as pretty as Ruan Songzho's concubine. There was no need for Ruan Songzho to leave his beautiful wife and sleep with his ugly concubine, right? Ruan Songzho, who was running out of breath, was secretly proud of himself. The stupid pig head was frightened by his few words. He was going to sleep with his ugly concubine again tonight. Although she was a little ugly, she was coquettish and really exciting. Su Taohua, he said you were so ugly that he couldn't eat you. A pleasant voice sounded. Su Taohua was the concubine of the man who chopped people. Ruan Songzho, what did you say last night? You said I was a fairy, prettier than your wife Muyu. Say, I'm ugly again. A sharp female voice sounded. It was Su Taohua. She hated it most when people said she was ugly. Okay, I'm going to hack you to death, you rascals. Clang, clang, clang. Clang, clang, clang. The drama started again. It got more and more intense, and knives were used. The villagers didn't dare to stop the fight and ran to watch the excitement of other families. Ruan Chichi, who had retired after his success, dragged Lu Yi to change the venue. The two women rolled together, pulling hair, scratching faces, pinching necks, kicking stomachs, spitting. They were Zhang Hongxia and the good sister who stabbed her in the back. Yesterday they were half-sisters, but today they have become irreconcilable enemies, and every move is fatal. Not far from them, two men also fought in a group. They are brothers, because of a tragedy caused by an egg. Go to the cemetery and explain clearly in front of your parents that you eat that egg, not me. Perhaps it was because he was in the wrong. The younger brother failed to beat his elder brother and was taken to the cemetery. A little further over, there were also two men fighting. One of them was obviously at a disadvantage because he had no weapon, and the man hitting him was holding a carrying pole, waving it vigorously, and he could only retreat step by step.
Come on.
Yuan Chichi threw a carrying pole over, and the retreating man caught it and counterattacked with even greater force, immediately turning the tide, and the two men fought evenly. Lu Yi was amused by the sight and gave some pointers from time to time. Watch out to the left rear. Oh, I reminded you, you idiot. Sweep his lower body. Ouch! I told you to sweep his lower body. Why did you hit upwards? Are you thinking of flying into the sky? Lu Yi was even angrier than watching the Chinese men's football team. None of these rookies were useful. He wished he could play on the field himself. Yuan Chichi was also very busy. She was busy handing out weapons, a carrying pole to one and a knife to another, for fear that the gap between the two sides would be too obvious and the battle would end too quickly. The busy and exhausted captain ran over in a mess. He had just torn apart two pairs of players and was slapped in the face and punched in the eyes. His hair was pulled bald by Zhang Hongxia, and his clothes were torn by Zhang Hongxia's bees. His beloved Zhongshan suit, which he had just put on in the morning and was about to go to the commune for a meeting, now had 3 buttons torn off. Stop fighting. Oh, if you have anything to say, talk it over nicely. Stop fighting. I told you to stop fighting. Are you deaf? The captain's voice was hoarse. He looked at this group of crazy villagers with tears in his eyes. He didn't know what happened. Why, overnight, these people brought up old scores from many years ago? Which rascal told them that? These people didn't listen to the captain at all. They fought even harder, and even blood was seen. The captain didn't dare to stop the fight. He was afraid of being hurt by mistake. He had to stand outside, trying to persuade them with a hoarse voice. But it was no use. No one listened to him. I will definitely not be selected for the civilized team this year. Oh my God. Why am I so unlucky? The captain pulled his hair hard, which made him gasp and his scalp hurt. He remembered that Zhang Hongxia, that evil witch, had just pulled a lot of his hair. The angry captain saw the couple who were busier than him out of the corner of his eye, and his eyelids twitched. One handed over a knife, the other gave instructions. Why haven't these two crazy husband and wife gotten out of here yet? Chichi, why haven't you left yet? The captain gritted his teeth and walked over, grabbed Yuan Chichi, and snatched the hatchet from her hand. If this crazy woman really handed over the hatchet, Ruanjiwan would probably be like Bailey Village, with blood and gore. How can I leave like this? The fight is so fierce. I have to stop it, Yuan Chichi said very confidently, and even wanted to take the hatchet back from the captain. Are you trying to stop the fight? Others are killing people and you hand over the hatchet. Yuan Chichi, you are helping the evil, and if someone really dies, you will not have a good ending. The captain was so angry that his chest felt like it was on fire, and he wanted to slap this crazy woman in the face, but he didn't dare. There was also a crazy man next to him who had a wooden barn in his hand, and he didn't have the courage. You stupid pighead, I told you to go left. Why are you going right? Pigs are smarter than you. You deserve to be slept with by someone else. Luya's curses of disappointment drifted into the captain's ears. He bit his back teeth tightly and looked at Yuan Chichi resentfully. Are these two people here to harm him and Ruanjiwan? Second uncle, don't meddle in other people's business here. Just take care of yourself first. Yuan Chichi kindly reminded. She also left a small note at the captain's house last night and put it in the pocket of the captain's cousin's clothes. It's about time he found it. I'm the leader of a team. If I don't care, who will? The captain glared at him unhappily, speaking in a particularly righteous manner, and rolled up his sleeves to separate them. Yuan Chichi sneered and stepped aside to continue watching the fun. Lu Sime, you who as always, you even dare to my man, I'll kill you. The sharp curses of the captain's cousin spread throughout the village in an instant, mixed with the screams and cries of Widow Lu. That son of a witch, Wan Guiliang, drinks every day just to sleep with a like you. Bah, I'm going to kill you first, and then castrate Wan Guiliang. The captain's wife is a fierce woman known throughout the area. She was famous throughout the commune when she was a girl. Because her father was a bodyguard when he was young and had great martial arts skills, the captain's wife and her brothers and sisters have all practiced martial arts and are quite good at it. The captain was very timid in front of the cousin because he couldn't beat them. He had never won a fight in more than 30 years of marriage. The turmoil disappeared immediately. Everyone stopped, temporarily forgetting their hatred, and looked at the captain with their eyes sharp. No wonder the captain has been foul-mouthed these days. It turns out that he drank. Could this be a secret recipe that can make one strong and vigorous? The captain is really not nice. He didn't tell others about such a good secret recipe, but drank it secretly. Bah! He deserves to be beaten by the cousin. I'm innocent. After the captain was stunned, he shouted in grief and anger, but no one believed him. Everyone looked at him with eyes of watching a good show. Soon, the captain's wife rushed over facing the rising sun, holding the disheveled widow Lu in her hand. The delicate widow, Lu, couldn't even take a single move under the captain's wife. Her pretty face swelled up like a pig's head, and her usual charm was completely gone. Ruan Guiliang, stop right there. The captain's wife roared out of nowhere, scaring the captain to run faster. Now, he just wanted to go far away, wander around, and stay away from this crazy woman. Second aunt. Give it to me. Ruan Chichi promptly handed over a cloth shoe, which she had picked up from the ground, and no one knew whose shoe had fallen. The captain's wife took the shoe, swung her arm, and accurately hit the captain on the back of his head. Bang! The captain fell back straight, fell hard, and was motionless. The shoe sole that his wife hit him with was powerful enough to knock him out. Ruan Chichi was laughing when she saw it. If nothing unexpected happened, the captain would have a hard time in the future, and Ruanjiawan would definitely be very lively in the future. With so much resentment, there would be fights every now and then. Let us go back to Tanzhou. Ruan Chichi dragged Lu Yi away. After watching the excitement, it was time to go back to Tanzhou to cause trouble. Let's go. Lu Yi was also satisfied. The captain was still pretending to be dead on the ground, with his eyes closed, his face pale, frightened, and unconscious. The captain's wife, who was originally very angry, was frightened by his dead appearance and a little panicked. Get up. Don't pretend to be dead for me. The captain's wife hit him a few times. Still not awake, she was really panicked, thinking that the captain had let her shoe hit him to death. Ruan Guiliang, get up, I don't blame you. The captain's wife choked up. Although the captain was he was still very family-oriented. She didn't want to be a widow. He could have an affair, but he was already a 50-year-old man. How many more years could he have an affair? The captain, who was pretending to be dead, was secretly happy. He planned to pretend to be dead for a few more minutes, then wake up slowly, and then pretend to be sick for a year or two so that the vicious woman would feel guilty enough. The widow Lu would definitely not hold him accountable for the incident. Lu Yi and Ruan Chichi happened to pass by. They stopped and bent down, one on the head and the other on the feet. Ruan Chichi pulled out a dogtail grass and scratched the captain's soles, and Lu Yi also pulled out a dogtail grass and scratched the captain's nose. Achoo. Ha ha ha. Don't scratch. In less than 3 seconds, the captain couldn't pretend anymore and rolled on the ground, laughing into a ball, full of energy to kill a cow. The captain's wife's face changed, and there were tears in her eyes, but she couldn't hide her murderous intent. Ruan Guiliang, I'm going to kill you. Ouch, listen to me. Stop hitting me, ouch. The captain was like a mouse under the claws of a cat under his cousin's hands, and he had no power to resist. Soon, he was beaten black and blue, and his face was swollen. Ruan Chichi and Lu Yi stopped to watch the show again, grinning and laughing, ignoring the captain's resentful eyes, and did not feel any guilt. Although the captain in the previous life did not directly kill the original body, he did not uphold justice, and it was right to teach him a little lesson. Ruan Shuangjiang and Ruan Xiaoxue rushed over to watch the excitement after hearing the news. They came too late. The big show was over, and only the excitement of the captain's house was left. Chichi, why haven't you left yet? Ruan Shuangjiang saw her second sister and second brother-in-law at first sight, grinning. It has been more than half an hour. Why haven't these two left Ruanjiawan? The fight was very fierce. Lu Yi and I were trying to stop it. We are leaving now. Ruan Chichi lied without blushing or beating his heart. Everyone else curled their lips. What a fight. These two were crazier than anyone else. They almost got someone killed. Fellow villagers, we are leaving, but we will be back. Wan Chichi waved to everyone and said goodbye passionately. Have a safe trip. The villagers did not respond enthusiastically. They hoped that the two crazy men and women would get lost as far away as possible, and it would be best if they would never come back. Sister, Xiaoxue, if you have any problems in the future, go to the commune to find Director Ma. He will seek justice for you. Wan Chichi deliberately mentioned Ma Chunxing in front of the whole village. Sure enough, everyone's eyes changed and their mentality changed. Ma Chunxing is the director of the Cutting Tail Society, and he also came to Wan Chichi's wedding banquet last time. The three sisters of the Wan family are really going to be rich. They actually hugged the thigh of the commune director. In the future, they will be able to walk sideways in the whole commune. Wan Chichi and Lu Yi finally left. On the way, they passed by a farm and saw Wan Guiming's family, who were reclaiming wasteland. In just a few days, this family has changed. They are dark and thin, and they have aged several years. With Ma Chunxing's special care, this family's future life will definitely be in dire straits, even harder than their original life in the previous life. It depends on whether they can survive. Even if they can survive, she will not let them have an easy time. This family must die. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, they returned to Tanzhou City, had dinner at the restaurant, and then went back to the compound to ask for red envelopes. Louis had a house in the military compound. Originally, there was only one room. He didn't cook, so it was more than enough for one person to live in. After submitting his marriage report, he asked the General Affairs Office to take over the empty room next door, and he cleaned it up. One room was used as a bedroom, and the other as a dining room and living room. He also bought new furniture and decorated it beautifully, waiting for Wan Chichi to move in. They went back to Lu Ye's residence first. He lived in the family building, in the same courtyard as Lu Disheng. However, Lu Disheng and Mo Qiufeng were of higher rank, so they lived in a Western-style house with a courtyard. Lu Yi lived in a 4-story family building. His room was on the 3rd floor, and the stairs to the innermost 2 rooms were on the left. There were stoves on the corridor, and a lot of clothes were hung out to dry. In the open space downstairs, several women were sitting and chatting, and they all had work in their hands. Some were picking vegetables, some were knitting sweaters, some were sewing shawls, some were mending clothes. Their hands never stopped, and their mouths were not idle, and they all chatted very enthusiastically. When they saw Lu Yi and Wan Chichi coming from afar, they were stunned. They wanted to ask but didn't dare to. Lu Yi was famous for his bad temper throughout the military region. Deputy Battalion Commander Lu, is this beautiful girl your girlfriend? A brave military wife mustered up the courage to ask. My dear cousins, I'm giving you some wedding candy. Lu Yi is in a particularly good mood today, with a smile on his face. He also grabbed a handful of wedding candy and shared it with them. Oh, congratulations to Deputy Battalion Commander Lu. We didn't know about it. Otherwise, we would have gone to the wedding banquet no matter what. Deputy Battalion Commander Lu, you two are really a perfect match, made in heaven. I wish Deputy Battalion Commander Lu a baby soon. The auspicious words from several women came one after another, and Lu Yi was so happy that his face was as big as a flower. He grabbed a handful of wedding candies and distributed them to them. Wan Chichi smiled slightly beside him and did not say anything. She looked like a quiet and introverted girl. Several military wives thought so, and they were worried that she would not be able to control Lu Yi in the future. When Deputy Battalion Commander Lu got crazy, even the commander could not resist. Such a gentle and timid girl, with thin arms and legs, could not even beat Deputy Battalion Commander Lu's little finger. Wan Chichi smiled at them and said politely, "Hello, sisters-in-law. Please take care of me in the future." "Hello, sisters. Please take care of each other in the future." Several women were very enthusiastic. The youngest of them was 30 years old. Looking at the young Wan Chichi, it was like looking at their own daughter. After the two went upstairs, a woman sighed and said worriedly, "This girl speaks in a soft voice. She must be timid. She will suffer in the future. Shh, keep your voice down. If Deputy Battalion Commander Lu hears you, you'll be in big trouble." The other women were startled and looked upstairs subconsciously, fearing that Lu Yi would hear them. The women were only worried for a few minutes. After all, they were not familiar with Ruan Chi-Chi and had a lot of troubles in their own families. They didn't have the spare energy to meddle in other people's affairs, but they were very curious about Ruan Chi-Chi. She is so fair and beautiful. She must be a city girl. Deputy Battalion Commander Liu is so good, it is impossible for him to find a rural girl. I don't know what her job is. She looks well educated. People with high education can easily find jobs and have high salaries. Unlike us, we have no education and can only sit at home and receive subsidies. Be content. At least you get subsidies every month, and your children's household registration has been changed from rural to non-rural. Unlike me, I don't know when they will officially join the army. A woman in her 30s smiled bitterly and sighed. The other women all looked annoyed and tried to comfort her. Shuhua, your company commander Prung is so capable, maybe he will be promoted next year, and then you and your mother will be able to officially join the army. Thank you for your good wishes. The woman called Shuhua smiled. Although she said so, she did not hold out much hope. Her husband had been a company commander for 6 years and was already 34 years old, but he had only 12 years of military service, which did not meet the conditions for joining the army. Now he had to either wait for promotion or wait another 3 years. She felt that the latter was more likely. After all, 3 years was the end, and the promotion was too slim. In the 1970s, there were 3 conditions for joining the army: deputy battalion level, over 35 years old, and 15 years of military service. Meeting the deputy battalion level was not affected by the latter 2, but if the level did not reach the deputy battalion level, the latter 2 conditions had to be met at the same time to be able to join the army. Deputy Battalion Commander Liu's cousin is so lucky, he can join the army at such a young age. Everyone was full of emotion and envied Ruan Chi-Chi very much. Ruan Chi-Chi, who was envied by everyone, was being pressed down on the bed by Liu Yi, making love with him, under the euphemism of making up for the wedding night. Because Liu Yi said that this was their new house, and the one in Ruanjiawan didn't count. Ruan Chi-Chi didn't bother to correct him. She was greedy and had to find so many excuses. But she was also greedy. After all, they were still in the period of newlyweds, and she was not tired of that kind of thing. Because they had to go to Liu Disheng's place in the evening, the two restrained themselves and only did it for 2 hours. Liu Yi went to boil hot water for Ruan Chi-Chi to take a bath, and he took a cold shower himself. An hour later, the two of them brought a bag of mugwort cakes and millet cakes, 10 of each. To visit Liu Disheng was victorious. The corridor was very lively. The military wives were cooking, and the air was filled with the aroma of various dishes. Ruan Chi-Chi saw a few women downstairs, greeted them, and said that she wanted to go to her father-in-law's house for dinner. After they left, the other military wives asked around and learned that they were Liu Ye's cousins and Commander Liu's daughter-in-law. They were envious and jealous again. When they arrived at Liu's house, it was already dark, and the courtyard door was not closed. It opened with a push. Ruan Chi-Chi went to check the growth of the vegetables as soon as possible. She shook her head when she saw that the seedlings were skinny and all of them were malnourished. Liu Disheng and Lin Manyan were just about to have dinner. There was a meat dish, a vegetable dish, and a soup on the table. As soon as they picked up the chopsticks, they heard Ruan Chi-Chi's voice. "We re back." Lin Manyan's face changed greatly, and her heart ached slightly. Liu Disheng's temple also began to hurt reflexively. They had been living a very comfortable life these days. The sky was blue, the air was fresh, the flowers were fragrant, and they ate well and slept well every day, so well that they even forgot about Ruan Chi-Chi. "Old Liu, my heart aches. I don't want to eat anymore." Lin Manyan's face looked very ugly. This time she was not pretending. She really had a pain in her heart and was angry. She got up and was about to go back to her room to hide from the plague god when she saw Ruan Chi-Chi stepping in, followed by Liu Yi. "It's time to eat." "Liu Yi, and I haven't eaten yet. Let's eat together." Ruan Chi-Chi was not polite at all, as if she was at home. She went to the kitchen and got 2 bowls of rice, and even scraped off the rice crust. "There's too little rice and too few dishes." It's not enough for us. How about cooking some more? Wan Qiqi looked at Lin Manyan and grinned at her. I'm not feeling well. If you want to eat, cook for yourselves. Lin Manyan's face became even uglier. She was not a nanny. Why should she cook for these two crazy people? Forget it, Lu Yi. Let's go to your stepfather's house to eat later. Just say that you didn't have enough to eat at your biological father's house. Bring these local specialties to your stepfather. Wan Qiqi had just put the gifts on the table, and now she took them down and put them at her feet. She would take them away after dinner. Lu Disheng's temples were throbbing. If these two rebellious sons really went to Mo Qiufeng's house to eat, he would lose face. He would definitely be ridiculed by that woman Yuan Huilan, saying that he couldn't even afford a meal. Manyan, go cook more. Lu Disheng ordered with a fierce face, and his tone did not allow for refusal. Even if Lin Manyan was unhappy, she dared not disobey. She had to go to the kitchen to cook obediently. She did not dare to do less. She cooked a big pot of rice and 5 dishes, including bacon and fish. While cooking, she was so angry that her heart ached, and she wanted to spit in the dishes. You don't want to spit, do you? A faint voice came from behind. Lin Manyan was so scared that she almost dropped the spatula. She turned around and saw Wan Qiqi clinging to the door frame. She hated her so much that she wanted to kill this crazy girl with a spatula. What nonsense are you talking about? How about you do it? Lin Manyan suppressed her hatred and stuffed the spatula into her hand, hoping that Wan Qiqi would take it so that she could go back to her room to rest and pretend that she didn't see it. I can't take over the hostess place. The kitchen is your territory, you do it. Wan Qiqi smiled good-naturedly and did not take the spatula. Lin Manyan snorted unhappily and continued to cook. Her cooking skills were pretty good. After all, she was the lovely wife who could coax Lu Disheng around. In addition to her sweet mouth, she also had to capture a man's stomach. Her cooking skills were much better than Yuan Huilan's. It tastes really good, Lu Yi. Your stepmother's cooking is better than your biological mother's. Wan Qiqi tasted the fried bacon with garlic sprouts and praised it rarely. Lin Manyan wanted to at first, but after hearing this, she couldn't help but feel proud, and her mood improved a lot. This crazy girl has vision. She is better than Yuan Huilan in more than just cooking. Lu Disheng's expression also eased a lot, and he felt that Wan Qiqi was still very sensible. It's really delicious, but she doesn't cook it for me very often. Lu Yi replied, and the atmosphere, which had just eased, became tense again. The smile on Lin Manyan's face also disappeared, and she looked at Lu Disheng angrily. Lu Disheng gave her a soothing look, telling her not to bother with Lu Yi. This is a specialty from my hometown, mugwort baba and millet baba. I brought them specially for you. Thank you, Uncle Lu, for dealing impartially with the ungrateful and despicable He Jianjun. Wan Qiqi picked up the gift from the ground, put it on the table, and opened the bag, revealing 2 kinds of baba. Lu Disheng's eyes lit up. His favorite thing to eat was all kinds of baba, especially millet baba. He hasn't eaten it since he left his hometown. You are so polite, girl. Thank you. Lu Disheng had a better impression of Wan Qiqi and even found an excuse for her past rebellious behavior. After all, she had just been broken off from engagement, and it was normal for a girl to be in a bad mood and to have a tantrum. Now the girl must have recovered and become sensible, which is pretty good. Manyan, go and fry some millet rice cakes. Lu Disheng ordered. Lin Manyan had no choice but to go to the kitchen again and fry a few millet rice cakes. Her hands were fried by the oil, and they were all red, which hurt her to death. Steamed millet rice cakes and fried millet rice cakes. When Lu Yi came out with a plate of millet rice cakes, he heard Wan Qiqi say, Lu Yi, why don't you tell your dad the good news? He won't be happy if I tell him, so I'm too lazy to tell him. Lu Yi said lazily, without even raising his head, and just ate his meal. How do you know I won't be happy if you don't tell me? Since it's good news, I will definitely be happy. Lu Disheng's face darkened, and he was about to scold again. Lu Yi raised his head and looked at him sarcastically. Your cousin will definitely be unhappy to hear it, so don't say it. Lu Disheng gritted his teeth and was about to be unable to suppress his anger. This rebellious son always spoke in such a sarcastic way and never spoke properly. You can't say that. Your stepmother will definitely be happy for you. You can't judge your stepmother by your own mean heart. Wan Qiqi advised. Lu Disheng's anger subsided a lot, and his impression of her was extremely good. This girl is really sensible, and it's not bad to be a partner with the rebellious son. Lu Yi snorted and turned his head away to make a fuss. Wan Qiqi smiled and said to Lu Disheng, "He doesn't say it, but I say that Lu Yi has made great contributions this time." The leader decided to reward him and promoted him to deputy, head of the regiment. The document will be passed down next month. Bang, the plate fell to the ground and broke into pieces, and several pieces of were also broken. Lin Mannion looked at Lu Yi with astonishment. This little rascal was actually promoted to deputy, head of the regiment? She tried her best to whisper in Lu Disheng's ear and suppressed this little rascal for several years. So how come he was promoted so quickly? Wan Qiqi frowned, looked at her with dissatisfaction, and asked sarcastically, "What do you mean by this? Are you really not happy to hear that Lu Yi was promoted?" "No way. Although you are a stepmother, you are also Lu Ye's elder. Why are you unhappy about his promotion? Are you psychologically unbalanced because Lu Yi was promoted and your two sons were not promoted?" Lu Disheng hadn't thought much about it at first, but after hearing this, he immediately looked at his wife suspiciously. Lin Mannion forced a smile and explained, "I was just too happy, so I didn't hold the plate firmly. Xiao Yi is really promising. He became a deputy, head of the regiment, at such a young age." Lu Disheng's suspicion was dispelled. He knew that Lin Mannion was not that kind of person and would definitely be happy for Xiao Yi. "I'll wash these baba and fry them again." Lin Mannion picked up the baba on the ground, swept away the broken porcelain pieces, and asked casually, "Old Lu, why don't you know about Xiao Ye's promotion? I haven't even heard you mention it." The smile on Lu Disheng's face froze. Yes, he was so happy that he didn't think about it. He was the commander of the military region. He should be the first to know about Lu Ye's promotion. Why didn't he receive the notice? Lu Yi showed a sarcastic smile on his face and looked at his father as if he was a fool. The stupid old man was fooled by his concubine, and he would definitely be dragged down by Lin Mannion in the future.
Lu Yi, what does your stepmother mean?
Does she suspect that we are telling false news? No way. How could she think like that? You're a family. She actually doubts you. Doesn't she know that your promotion notice was issued by the general military region? No way. How can she be so dark in her mind? Wan Qiqi spoke in a sarcastic tone, making Lin Mannion's face turn red and blue, and she had to defend herself. "I didn't mean that. I just asked because I felt it was strange. Old Lu, believe me, I am really happy for Xiaoya. Okay, go and fry the baba." Lu Disheng didn't completely believe it this time. He was also a little suspicious. Lin Mannion behaved very abnormally, and she didn't look very happy. Wan Qiqi had a point. Is my wife really unhappy to see Xiaoya succeed? Don't be surprised. She is my stepmother after all. It would be abnormal for her to be happy for me. Lu Yi also said sarcastically, took another big mouthful of rice, and after swallowing it, he said, "Who made my stepmother give birth to two sons? So mediocre. They are not as good as me in everything. It's strange that she can be balanced in her heart. No wonder. Her own sons are not as good as the one born by the cousin in front. She must be sick to death in her heart, and she has to pretend to be a loving mother who treats everyone equally. It's too difficult for her." Wan Qiqi looked as if she had suddenly realized something. There was a bang sound from the kitchen. It was Lin Mannion, who was so angry that she smashed the pot and almost drilled through the pot. Lu Disheng was also uncomfortable. In terms of ability, the two sons born by Lin Mannion were indeed not as good as Lu Yi, but they were all brothers. How could they be compared like this? Wan Qiqi really couldn't help but praise her, and now she started to talk nonsense again. Wan Qiqi took a bite of bacon and said seriously, "From the perspective of you three brothers, it shows a very important truth." "What truth?" Lu Yi asked flatteringly, and Lu Disheng's ears also pricked up. "A loving mother often spoils her son. Your two stepbrothers have never suffered from hardship since childhood and have been brought up in pampered conditions. Unlike you You have been left to fend for yourself since childhood. You went up the mountain to find game, went down the water to catch fish, and even went out to beg for food. Although you had a narrow escape from death, you have a promising future. This proves from the root that your two brothers were abused by your stepmother. You must arrange for them to be tempered in the most difficult frontier, away from your stepmother, then they may have some promising future. Wan Chichi deliberately spoke very loudly, just to provoke Lin Manyan in the kitchen and make her angry to death. Sure enough, there was a bang in the kitchen, and this time the bottom of the pot was really pierced through. Wan Chichi glanced at the kitchen and said to Lu Yi in surprise, "Your stepmother was just frying a cake. Why was there such a bang?" She was so angry that she poked a hole in the bottom of the pot. Lu Yi answered casually, not knowing that he had guessed it right. Lu Disheng was too lazy to get angry with them. People's habits are terrible. Now that he heard these outrageous words, he was able to remain calm. And he felt that what Wan Chichi said did make sense. Lu Ye's two younger brothers grew up with him and Lin Manyan since they were young. They had never suffered and were very spoiled. As a man, he must not be afraid of hardship or fatigue. Those who are spoiled are. Lu Disheng's thoughtful look fell into Lin Manyan's eyes, and her heart sank to the bottom. Having lived with him for more than 20 years, Lin Manyan knew this man too well. Lu Disheng must have been moved by that crazy girl. "Old Lu, the baba is fried. Eat it while it's hot." Lin Manyan interrupted Lu Disheng's thoughts and put a plate of slightly burnt fried baba on the table. "Why is it burnt? Your stepmother didn't really drill a hole through the bottom of the pot, did she?" Wan Chichi yelled in surprise. "It's very likely. After all, my stepmother doesn't like me to be successful the most. It's normal for her to pierce the bottom of the pot when she's angry,"
Lu Yi said.
Lin Manyan's brows jumped, and she explained through gritted teeth. "The fire is too big. If you turn it over a little slower, it will be burnt. Do you have enough dishes? Do you want me to fry some more?" "It's enough, but since you want to fry so much, then fry a few more dishes." "Lu Yi, and I will definitely finish them." Wan Chichi was not polite at all. As long as Lin Manyan went to fry, she would finish it even if her throat was full. "Go and fry. Lu Disheng has spoken. He can't just not let people eat their fill." Lin Manyan's mouth tasted bloody, but she didn't dare to show it at all. She had to put on a smile and go to the kitchen to cook. Fortunately, there was still a pot at home. Wan Chichi followed her to the kitchen quietly. Seeing Lin Manyan taking a new pot from the cupboard, she started yelling, "It's terrible, Lu Yi. Your stepmother really chiseled a hole in the bottom of the pot. How angry must she be? It's strange. She can even chisel a hole in the bottom of the pot. The grass in the vegetable garden is taller than the vegetables. She has so much strength. Why doesn't she go and—" Lu Yi didn't even eat his meal. He ran to the kitchen to watch the fun. He and Wan Chichi each pulled up one side of the door frame, and they were talking in a weird way again. Lu Disheng came over with a fierce face and saw Lin Manyan trying to hide the broken pot. Such a fresh gap made his head throb. "Old Lu, this pot has been used for many years. It's not stable anymore," Lin Manyan explained quickly. "If you are angry, then you are angry. Why blame the pot? It didn't break down earlier or later, but it broke down when Lu Yi was promoted. What a coincidence." Wan Chichi curled her lips and said righteously, "It's normal. My stepmother is as narrow-minded as a needle tip. She gets angry when I get higher scores than her son in the exam. I'm used to it." Lu Ye's face was full of sarcasm. He didn't even look at Lu Disheng and turned around to go back to eat. It's understandable. After all, she is a stepmother. She must want the best for her own son. You have to think like this. Although you don't have the love of your parents, you have the most promising future. Wan Chichi comforted him and went to eat. These words were like needles that pierced Lu Disheng's heart, especially what Lu Yi said about the exam. He looked at Lin Manyan suspiciously. He always thought that Lu Ye's grades were so bad because he didn't work hard enough and never thought that it was his wife's fault. Is she really suppressing Xiaoyi? "Old Lu, I'm not. This pot is really about to break. Xiaoyi has a bright future. I'm happier than anyone else, really." Lin Manyan cried bitterly and used her usual tricks, But the tricks that always worked didn't work today. Lu Dishing still had a suspicious look in his eyes, but he didn't say anything else. He just glanced at the broken pot, looked at Lin Mannion deeply, and left the kitchen. Lin Mannion stood in the kitchen in a daze, with a chill on her back. She knew that Lu Dishing was suspicious of her. Lu Yi, that rascal, why didn't he starve to death back then? Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi ate all the dishes with relish. Lu Dishing didn't even eat a few bites of vegetables. He was full from eating. Let's go to your stepfather's house to ask for a red envelope. Wan Qiqi stood up decisively. Time was precious, and there was no time to waste. What red envelope do you want? When it comes to Mo Qiufeng, Lu Dishing has a very sharp ear. He has been secretly competing with Mo Qiufeng, determined to defeat this old fox and prove that Yuan Huilan's choice was wrong. It's not that he still has feelings for Yuan Huilan, he just doesn't accept it. Because Yuan Huilan told him that Mo Qiufeng is hundreds of times better than him, and she was blind to marry him at the beginning. Fortunately, she turned back in time and married Mo Qiufeng. These words made Lu Dishing very angry. Since then, he has regarded Mo Qiufeng as his opponent. He can lose to anyone but Mo Qiufeng. Lu Yi has been promoted, and the elders have to give him a red envelope to celebrate. Okay, we're leaving, bye. Wan Qiqi waved and pulled Lu Yi out. 5, 4, 3, 2. Wan Qiqi counted silently, and sure enough, when she counted to 2, she heard Lu Dishing's call. Mannion, go and pack a red envelope for Xiao Yi, and pack it thicker. She and Lu Yi smiled at each other, turned around quickly, and waited to receive the red envelope. Wan Qiqi also said, the last time I went to the Mo family, Uncle Mo gave me a huge gift of 50 yuan. How generous! Lu Dishing's head hurt even more, and he cursed Mo Qiufeng for being shameless. He gave him a red envelope behind his back and didn't tell him, causing him to be bullied by this crazy girl. In order not to lose to Mo Qiufeng, Lu Dishing simply went to the room and wrapped the red envelopes himself. Lin Mannion had already wrapped a red envelope of 10 yuan, which was the limit of her tolerance. If Lu Dishing hadn't asked for a thicker one, she would have wrapped 1 yuan at most. After all, in her opinion, all the money of the Lu family belonged to her and her son, and Lu Yi and Lu Chunqiao had no right to spend it. I didn't ask you to wrap a thicker one. Do you want Mo Qiufeng to laugh at you by wrapping 10 yuan? Lu Dishing's tone was very dissatisfied. He felt that Lin Mannion suddenly became not sensible at all. The face that he originally thought was gentle and beautiful also had some mercenary and calculating. Lin Mannion bit her back teeth and wrapped 2 red envelopes, each containing 50 yuan, because Lu Dishing said that he must not lose to Mo Qiufeng. 100 yuan, it was so cheap for Lu Yi. Lin Mannion was so heartbroken that she almost fainted. Although she was very unwilling, Lin Mannion did not dare to resist. She took the 2 red envelopes out and stuffed them into Lu Yi. Lu Yi didn't even look at them and gave them to Wan Qiqi. Lin Mannion couldn't help but sneered. Xiao Yi is really sensible. He knows how to hand it over to his partner before getting married. Lu Dishing frowned, thinking that Lu Yi was indeed stupid. How could he hand over the money before getting married? He seemed so humble. He hadn't even come to the door yet, but he had been trained so well. He was so angry. I forgot to say just now that Lu Yi and I have already obtained the marriage certificate. Look, our marriage certificate. So, I solemnly invite you two to come to my humble home tomorrow night for a drink. Wan Qiqi took out 2 marriage certificates, shook them in front of Lin Mannion, and invited them to the wedding banquet. Lin Mannion's eyes darkened. She really wanted to kill this crazy girl. She did it on purpose. She didn't tell her when she came in. She gave her 2 red envelopes before saying that she had to give another red envelope when she went to the banquet tomorrow. 3 red envelopes. I felt so sorry for her. Why didn't you tell her you were married when you came in? Lin Mannion asked with gritted teeth, feeling extremely angry. This month she had planned to make 2 new sets of clothes, buy a new pair of leather shoes, and send some nutritional supplements to her 2 sons. After completing these tasks, she would earn at least 100 yuan, but now all of it has been taken away by these 2 witches. This month, Even buying groceries is difficult, and she has to use her private money. Lin Manyun's heart hurts more than a knife. Lu Disheng's monthly salary is 450 yuan, and he gives her 250 yuan, leaving 200 yuan for himself to subsidize his subordinates with family difficulties. She couldn't spend all the 250 yuan. She could save about 100 yuan every month. With her own salary, she had saved a lot of money. She was going to leave this money to her two sons. She didn't plan to spend it on household expenses. But when the crazy girl Wan Qiqi came, she took 100 yuan from her. She has to give another red envelope tomorrow. With Lu Disheng's generosity, it will definitely not be less than 50. Lin Manyun felt a sharp pain in her heart and was almost out of breath. She didn't care about maintaining the persona of a gentle stepmother. Her face was very ugly. Wan Qiqi glanced at her and pretended not to understand and asked, "What's the difference between saying it inside and saying it now?" "Oh, Lu Yi, your stepmother is not going to be stingy with a red envelope, right? It's normal. When I asked her for $1 for the spring outing when I was a child, she was reluctant to give it to me. She even told my father that the teacher thought I was too naughty and didn't let me participate in the spring outing." Lu Yi sneered, and with this sarcasm, he talked about all the unfair treatment he had suffered in his childhood. After he finished speaking, he gave Lu Disheng a sarcastic look. Lu Disheng felt in his heart and looked at Lin Manyun suspiciously. He had no memory of the spring outing, but he remembered that Lin Manyun told him that Lu Yi was very naughty in school, his grades were terrible, and the teachers were very annoyed with him. Lu Yi was not allowed to participate in class activities. Did Lin Manyun lie to him again? No, Xiao Yi must have remembered it wrong. I never said such a thing. Lin Manyun didn't care about the money anymore and hurried to explain. She still had to rely on Lu Disheng to show off at work, and she couldn't be separated from him.
I remember you said that.
Lu Disheng's eyes became deeper. Seeing Lin Manyun's pale face, he felt uncomfortable, and there was more guilt in his eyes when he looked at Lu Yi. Lu Yi avoided his eyes awkwardly and snorted, looking unconcerned. Lu Disheng smiled silently, feeling very frustrated. Wan Qiqi was right. He was a failure in his family. Did you really go to her house? Lu Disheng softened his tone. It was the gentleness that Lu Yi had never heard in the past 25 years. He frowned, suspecting that the old man was possessed by a ghost, and said, "Just talk. Don't be so cheesy. I get goosebumps. I'm your dad. You're nothing in front of me." Lu Disheng's guilt was instantly driven away by anger, and he scolded with a fierce face. "I'm going to say this to you. When you come to the dinner tomorrow, don't give a small red envelope. Don't let outsiders say that my biological father's red envelope is not as big as my stepfather's. That would be really embarrassing. Even if others don't say it, my mother will definitely spread the word." Lu Yi snorted. He had to talk about me, and if he didn't like it, he would poke his ears. "Will I lose to Imo Qiufeng? Let me ask you, did you really come to the house?" When it came to Imo Qiufeng's matter, Lu Disheng couldn't stand any provocation and fell into the trap immediately. He also planned to make preparations, bring more money tomorrow, and say that the red envelope must be thicker than Imo Qiufeng's, so as not to give that woman Yuan Huilan a chance to laugh at him. Is there any fate coming to the house? Now, I am the son-in-law of the Wan family. Lu Yi was afraid that he would not anger the old man to death, so he stiffened his neck and kept saying some treasonous words. Seeing Lu Disheng's face flushed with anger, he felt very happy. "Dad, your awareness is too low. You should take time to study the quotations from Confucius." Wan Qiqi also added a knife and took out a brand new quotations from Confucius and stuffed it into Lu Disheng's hand. "And my stepmother-in-law, the vegetables in the garden are too scarce." If someone with ulterior motive saw this, they would think that my stepmother-in-law is dissatisfied with the land. Even the chairman grows his own vegetables. Only 20 years have passed since the victory of the revolution, and my stepmother-in-law has become a delicate young lady who can't even grow a little vegetable. No wonder she raised two mediocre sons. "Dad, you are so majestic, and Lu Yi can be said to be a better student than your father. But my stepmother-in-law's two sons are really a tiger father giving birth to two dog sons." Wan Qiqi said a long paragraph. Praise Lu Disheng and disparage Lin Manyun, and in passing, step on Lin Manyun's two precious sons. Her family's Lu Yi has suffered so much. Why can these two brothers stay in Tanzhou City to enjoy the good life? Snow-capped mountains, deserts, rainforests are all good places to train people. Let her suffer. Old Lu, I'm not feeling well recently. Lin Manyun was about to death, but facing Wan Qiqi's provocation, she couldn't refute it at all. Because she really didn't grow vegetables carefully, and her two sons were indeed not as good as Lu Yi for the time being. Not feeling well? Let me feel your pulse, don't worry, my father is a famous doctor, and anyone who can breathe in the surrounding area is all taken care of by my father. Wan Qiqi grabbed Lin Manyun's hand and felt her pulse in a serious manner. The pulse is strong and powerful. Oh my, it's incredible. Boom, 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 like beating a drum. Lu Yi, your stepmother's body is stronger than a sow. She can give birth to 5 or 6 more babies without any problem. I can't give birth anymore. My concubine has drained me dry. Otherwise, if I could give birth to 5 or 6 more cubs, our home would be so lively. Let me feel your father's pulse again. Wan Qiqi snatched Lu Disheng's hand and started to feel it properly. It's amazing, Lu Yi. Your father is not an empty-handed man. He is strong enough to go to the battlefield and fight the Japanese again. There will be no problem in having a baby. Lu Disheng's face originally looked a little ugly, but after hearing this, he couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth proudly. He was not bragging. Although he was over 60 years old, those recruits in their 20s in the barracks could not beat him, and his health was his greatest asset. Encouraged by Wan Qiqi and Lu Yi, Lu Disheng's mind became active. He really liked to have many children in the family. He was in good health, and Lin Manyun could also give birth, so it was no problem to have a few more. Wan Qiqi saw through his thoughts at a glance. As expected, even if a man was 80 years old, he still wanted to prove that he could have children. Dad, my stepmother-in-law is in good health. Don't use your poor health as an excuse in the future. You have to farm the land well and educate the children well, especially your son. A real man should be a real man. Those who are spoiled are just like women. It's a disgrace to our Lu family. Wan Qiqi had a sincere look on her face, and every word she said pierced Lu Disheng's heart. He had always attached great importance to reputation. Lin Manyun's two sons had made no achievements in the army and were just idling away every day. He had long been dissatisfied with them. Wan Qiqi was right. He had to make a decision early and send these two rascals to the border to suffer a little. Lin Manyun's heart sank to the bottom, but she didn't dare to persuade him now. She could only persuade Lu Disheng when he was in a good mood. The border was not a place for people to stay. How could her son go there to suffer? If he stayed in Tanzhou City and was taken care of by Lu Disheng, he would be promoted after a few years. Only rural soldiers with no background would go to the border to suffer in exchange for a career. Her son's father was the commander. His starting point was much higher than others. He didn't need to suffer at all. Lu Yi is gone. Go to your stepfather's house. Wan Qiqi invited Lu Yi to go to the Mo family. When the two of them walked to the threshold, she turned around and said to Lu Disheng, Dad, spoiling a son is like killing him. Look at Lu Yi, and then look at Lu Yuanchao and Lu Jiafang. Wow, there is a world of difference between them. After that, she and Lu Yi walked away proudly, leaving Lin Manyun with a dark face and Lu Disheng thoughtful. Old Lu, this crazy girl is talking nonsense. Jiafang and Yuanchao performed very well in the army. They were praised by the leaders some time ago. They are still young and will definitely not tarnish your reputation in the future. Lin Manyun hurriedly defended her son. Wan Qiqi, this witch, was too vicious. She would never let her son go to the border to suffer. When did you get the praise? Why don't I know? Lu Disheng was half believing and half doubting. Those two rascals were serving in the army in the Jiangcheng military region. The third one, Lu Jiafang, was 22 years old and barely made it to the position of platoon leader. The fourth one, Lu Yuanchao, was 19 years old and joined the army last year. He is still a soldier now. He often went to the Jiangcheng military region for meetings and would inquire about the two rascals. He had never heard of any praise, and, of course, no criticism. But Lu Disheng also knew that the reason for not criticizing them was because of his face. He had inquired privately and found out that the two rascals were very pampered and had bad relationships with others. They couldn't get along with their comrades. Just a while ago, I went to Jiangqing to give them something and talk to their leader. He really praised them. I didn't lie to you. Lin Mannion smiled reluctantly, avoiding her gaze and not daring to look directly at Lu Disheng. Which leader? I know them all in Jiangqing. I'll go ask. Lu Disheng was smart this time. He didn't believe her lies and started to ask questions. I can't remember what your name is. It's really a compliment. I don't need to coax you about this kind of thing. Besides, Jiefeng and Yuan Chao are your biological sons. You are so capable, your sons will not be bad either. Don't listen to the nonsense of that crazy girl Wan Qiqi. Lin Mannion changed the subject vaguely and flattered her. Lu Disheng snorted and said coldly, Wan Qiqi is really right this time. A tiger father gave birth to 2 dog sons.
They are all spoiled by you.
Don't send them anything in the future. There are canteens and allowances in the army. They will not starve to death. The food in the canteen is terrible. They all became thin due to hunger during the liberation and aid Korea. Don't you feel sorry for them? Lin Mannion blurted out. Lu Disheng's face turned cold and he said in a deep voice, no matter how terrible it tastes, it is not as terrible as grass roots and tree bark. Xiaoya ate grass roots and tree bark in the mountains when he was a child, and he didn't starve to death. How come your son can't endure hardship? Lin Mannion, you know best whether you are sincere or false to Xiaoya. How can I not be sincere, Lu Disheng? I have followed you for more than 20 years and served you and your son with all my heart. Even if I have no merit, I have worked hard, right? That crazy girl's few crazy words have made you alienated from me. You make me so disappointed. Lin Mannion was angry and scared, so she just made up her mind and started yelling. After she finished yelling, she covered her face and cried and went back to her room. After she arrived in the room, her tears stopped abruptly. She clenched her teeth, and her eyes were full of hatred. Wan Qiqi, this witch, easily provoked the relationship between her and Lao Lu. She underestimated this witch. She had to think of a way to keep Jiefeng and aid Korea in Jiangqing, and she must not go to the border. Lu Disheng stood alone in the deserted living room, feeling powerless in his heart. Why did his family become like this? He sighed deeply, walked into the garden, and frowned when he saw the malnourished seedlings. No wonder Wan Qiqi said that the vegetables were grown to such a dead state. In the past, he was in a hurry to go home and rarely paid attention to the garden. Today was the first time he calmed down to look at the garden. Looking at these rows of half-dead seedlings, he was more dissatisfied with Lin Mannion. Jiefeng and aid Korea were all like their mother, very pampered. Lu Disheng didn't want to stay at home, so he went out for a walk with his hands behind his back. He met many old comrades along the way, and he greeted them one by one. Lisheng, is your little wild girlfriend back? A gray-haired, energetic old man wearing glasses and a gentle temperament came towards him. He looked like a university teacher. Next to him was an equally gentle and intellectual old lady, but the old lady walked with a limp, was very thin, and looked very bad. Hello, old leader, do you know that girl? Facing the 2 old men, Lu Disheng stood straight, with a very respectful attitude. Manzai knows her. She asks us for Qiqi every day. Is that girl called Qiqi? The old lady's voice was very gentle and her smile was also very soft. She looked like a petite and frail old lady, but she gave people a feeling that her inner core was very strong. Yes, her name is Wan Qiqi. She just came back today and went to Mo Qiufeng's house with Xiaoya. Lu Disheng was very surprised. He knew Lu Yuanfei. Although he was usually very well behaved, it was all just an illusion. This child was very difficult to deal with. It was really strange that Wan Qiqi could make friends with Lu Yuanfei. Manzai thinks about this girl every day. You tell Qiqi to come to my house when you are free and talk to Manzai. The white-haired old man had a good impression of Wan Qiqi. Although he had never seen her, she was considered a good friend by his man's eye. This girl was obviously a very affectionate and true-natured person. In this chaotic time, there are not many children who can maintain their true nature.
Okay.
Lu Disheng agreed. The two old people walked slowly. They were also taking a walk, but because the old lady had a leg disease, they walked very slowly. Lu Disheng continued to walk, and unknowingly, he walked to the door of the Mo family. The door was not closed tightly, leaving a large gap. Through the gap, he could see the scene in the living room. Ruan Qiqi and Lu Yi were sitting on the sofa, and Mo Qiufeng and Yuan Huilan were sitting on the sofa opposite them. Although they could not hear what they were saying clearly, the atmosphere seemed to be good, and obviously they did not quarrel. Lu Disheng felt unbalanced.
Why?
Why did this crazy girl Ruan Qiqi treat them differently? She had a seizure in his house. Why not Mo Qiufeng's house? Lu Disheng was indignant. After thinking about it, he decided to go in and take a look. As soon as he walked to the door, he heard Ruan Qiqi say, Lu Yi and I have prepared some home-cooked dishes tomorrow night, and invite Uncle Mo and Mom to have a wedding drink. I will definitely go. Congratulations to you. Mo Qiufeng was very happy. He was really happy for Lu Yi. After this child got together with Ruan Qiqi, his hostility has disappeared a lot, and he will definitely get better and better in the future. Yuan Huilan's face didn't look very good. She didn't say she would go, nor